Welcome, one and all, to T3PO Live at its new slot. Live at 5 is what we're liking to call it. Hopefully you appreciate the digs a little bit right there.
From the shadows I come.
To go ahead and get a little bit into the spirit there, but I gotta go ahead and undo this hood, or else, I'm not going to stay in that position very long. Welcome, one and all, to T3PO Live. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have an amazing panel of guests that we have lined up here in our new time slot. The benefit of this new slot is that it allows a more wide-ranging views to actually come on because, well, now the time that people could allot to the previous show, well, now that's been expanded in our new time slot. So hopefully that will go excellent. I know we have a few panelists here joining us right here, and we have a slew of stories from across the internet talking about all kinds of theme park news, but also some entertainment news as well that will be consequential to those theme parks that we love so dear. Let's go ahead and get some of our panelists out here. We have Lou, Wasserman's Ghost, and Barry, Plays 28. Welcome, friends.
I know. Yes. I like that intro. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. That was animated by my brother. And that would be, one of the last times we can actually play it this year because, well, next week, it's what? It's not quite Thanksgiving. It's the fall season. So we'll be dropping that and going back to our regular scheduled programming.
Wait. When does Disney open another ride that breaks down? And that's spooky. We can use it again and again.
We can get even more play out of it, I suppose. But thank you so much for coming, Bob. I heard that you actually got on the infamous, the one, the only, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That's the one.
That's wild.
Yeah, pretty spooky. You are here to regale us with your experiences of that attraction. How did... to start kind of things off here, getting people coming into the chat, how did your experiences go for that attraction? I know you had quite the harrowing experience, right?
It's been a real pain trying to get the virtual queue for this ride. You can basically get on at 7 in the morning to try to get the virtual queue. If you don't get it, then you can try again at 12 noon, but you have to be inside the park to try for it. So I have not been able to be very successful in this, but finally on Sunday, even though I didn't get the 7 a.m. one, I did get the 12 noon one, and I was all ready to go when all of a sudden, guess what? The ride broke down. It was funny because I just asked the cast member, how's it going today? He goes, been going great. Ride's been great. Hadn't really broken down. Everything was fine on Sunday, and then boom, right before I get on, it broke down. Now, thankfully, after we got a new virtual queue for another ride and we left the area, they started riding. I guess they got the operations up and going again. So luckily, I talked to one of the cast members and said, look, it's just me. I really would like to go on the ride. Can I please, try to get back on? She said, absolutely. She was really nice. She let me go through the lightning lane so I could pass up everyone again. And this is where we're at right now, where you see the video. So actually, is this where we're about ready to get on? Or is this, let's see. I think this is the first one. It's actually broken down. So you might need to fast forward it.
That's typical. So it's around the 6:40 mark. Do you remember when you actually got on this attraction on this particular live stream?
Not the exact time, but
the exact time.
Fast forward.
I'll go ahead and wheel it up in the background right there. But I know that it's been breaking down every single time. I heard that it might have had a breakdown-less preview. Like yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. That's the rumblings that are coming out from what I'm hearing. Information could be wrong, but I know it's been breaking down multiple times every single day. Is that right?
Yeah, it has been. But I will tell you, when it broke down that day, at first they were like, okay, everyone stay on the ride, and then they were like, okay, everyone needs to get off the ride, and then they started unloading people as they got the ride working again. They got it working pretty quick. The thing was, I thought, oh, great. When they said it's completely shut down, the cast member I was talking to, he actually was shocked. He was like, wow, I'm actually surprised they're shutting the whole thing down, but I don't know what's going on. And then when I got off the ride and went outside to talk to a couple of my fans, we were walking in front of, what are you laughing at?
I think it's great, but it's like, well, I had to go take care of my fans,
No, I had Lou. No, what? I actually had some friends from, fans from Washington that came down and they wanted to meet me, and so they went to go on rides while I was going
great.
this.
Really, I do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Lou. You got fans too, I think.
I don't know, but they wouldn't know I was there.
Yeah, it's true. So this is when I'm actually going to go on the ride this time, and anyhow, I thought it was nice that the cast members let me go back, and they got it running pretty quickly, and that was the only time it broke down on Sunday, so that was pretty good. I didn't hear that it didn't break down yesterday, but if so, that's good news. I mean, I really don't want to hear that it's breaking down every single day. Now, my sources told me that the ride's not ready. They shouldn't be opening it yet, but they want to get it open. So that's discouraging. But given the fact that they are continuing with these plans, I'd like to see it not have any issues. I will say there's only one main issue while I was riding the ride, and that is the very first big Lewis animatronic that you see was not working. He was talking, but he wasn't moving or anything like that. That was the only one that wasn't working. Everything else worked flawlessly. But you probably could fast forward just a little bit here if you want to.
No problem. I see that everything. They try to board as many people as possible back up here, which is encouraging, and now we're actually taking off. So good. You actually got on.
Yes,
we have it confirmed on live stream.
Right. Well, I will say that. Right. I will say that the one thing that I definitely noticed is that they decided to load only 5 people instead of 6. So out of the 6 rows they have, they were only loading 5 people. And again, I'm not sure why. If it was a weight issue,
doing that?
But
was it consistently leaving either the front or the back one empty? For all cars?
It was the back. It was the final back one that they were leaving empty. Road number 6. So I asked for 5.
It's a matter of depth of water or splash.
Not sure. I do know that when the original Splash Mountain was open, when they had problems with it breaking down, they would also load only 5 people instead of 6. So maybe it's a similar issue. But I will say that being on this ride, the one thing that it's the same ride as it was before for Splash Mountain as far as the track, the layout, everything. Yeah. And it's super fun to ride. I enjoyed the ride very much as far as the log flume is concerned. It's everything else. Like everything has a fresh coat of paint. Everything looks beautiful. Everything looks great. I mean, this whole area, it looks nice. I enjoyed it. The thing is, there's just no soul to this ride. And that's what one of my viewers said. He says it's a soulless ride. And I kind of feel that way because there's so many things that they could have done to make this better because there's no tension or anything like that. So you're having fun because you're on a waterlog ride. And I kept having flashbacks to Splash Mountain, to be honest with you. And I was having a great time. My whole issue is the fact that they just, I didn't care about what was happening in the ride or the characters or anything like that. While it looked good, I was having fun riding it.
If you don't know from all the coverage, you walk in totally, naked of the story. Do you get the story? Do you get enough storytelling about they're looking for a band for this party and whatever?
You barely get that. And here's the funny thing. In order to make sure that you get the story, they actually have speakers in the line queue of a radio station that's playing music, and it's music from the movie. When then the radio announcer will come on and say, hey, Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen are having a party at their house, but there's an issue. They're looking for band members to play in the band for the celebration. And they basically explain what's happening in the ride because they can't seem to do it on the ride. That's, to me, kind of pathetic storytelling.
Yeah.
But
the idea that you can't find a band in New Orleans has always been the stumbling block for me. There's so few musicians there. It's so hard to get a band together.
This part right here, when you used to come in, it was bright, vibrant. You had, all the different, characters from America Sings, singing, how do you do? Well, it's very dark. And I mean, once you get in, you're like, oh, wow, look at all the fireflies and everything. But, there are a lot of screens. This is the Lewis that wasn't working. You can see right here. Oh, did it pause? Oh, wow, that's not good.
I think the signal is intermittent in this area, which no surprise given that we're now in the depths of the actual show building itself. But you mentioned the darkness. It's one of the reasons why, if we scroll back right here, they built out the tunnel that you initially enter, so as to block out more of that sunlight for
Right.
these dark sequences right here. This is all addition, which I'll give them credit for. If that was a look that they were actually going for, that was a commitment to that look there. Not exactly cheap, but they went ahead and went with it.
It does allow you
oh.
to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the staging in this particular area, I know a lot of people were hopeful or optimistic that Disneyland's version of this ride would be better than maybe Walt Disney World's, if only because the staging for this specific scene here is so vastly different at the Disneyland version. What did you see when you came upon this scene here?
Well, the thing I noticed is that all the characters are a lot closer together. So each of these scenes are really, really quick. And we were going by them pretty fast, almost to the point where you can see right here, it's like, wow, you just passed them. Now you're passing those characters. And I had to turn
It's
around
going
again.
much faster than Splash Mountain ever did.
It is.
In my
It
experience.
is. And to be honest with
pretty
you, I
fast.
felt like when I was done with the ride, I'm like, wow, that seemed to go a lot faster than I remember Splash Mountain going. And I think it may be just because the assets are so close to each other in each of the scenes. Yeah, could be. But, this one is obviously different right here from Walt Disney World because you actually go down and come right back up. And it's like a dip, which is a lot of fun. And Mama Odie worked fine. I will say that when you splash down here, you used to see the bees and the beehives, and that was really, really cool. Here, it's just, there's nothing but mushrooms and, just some plant life. And so it's kind of, a little dull right there. They could have done something, in that area. But then you come into this area where you're tiny now and everything looks huge. The frogs looks huge. And obviously, all the things below. And then of course you see, Tiana and Lewis there looking into the,
That
log
screen
that
is
you're
a
supposed to be in or whatever
little
you're in.
bit better than Walt Disney World's, but still, I mean, it's a little,
What happened?
Oh, I skipped and I forgot that this is this is a 9-hour stream.
Yep.
And that any movement is a lot. I will say though, after that big drop right there, we have some video coming out of various streamers and photographers and reporters and so forth. This here by Five Fires with this shot right here. This is let's see if it'll actually play. You can see here it's the same drop as before, obviously without the briar patch, but you can see the waves of
Right
water coming
here.
in. This is most consequential because if you actually look down, even if that wall of water didn't pass over you, you can see the logs are taking on a ton
They
of
sure
water.
are.
They are. I will say I was paying attention as the logs were coming up. I wanted to see how much water was in them. So I was leaning forward from time to time just to take a look. And there's only one log that was really waterlogged, I guess you'd say. And, the lady who came out with soaking shoes. I will say, though, when I went down, we did not have a ton of water that came into the boat or the log. And I think one of the factors is that, the weight. So if you have a lot of people in that boat, and especially a lot of, people who are heavy, then it seems like a lot more water going into the logs than before. Also, the very, very end, I don't know if there's something they changed or whatnot to the ride, but it just seems like the water splashing from the end of the cave right into the boat. And it's crazy how much water is coming in. Again, I was sitting in the back, so I didn't get too wet, and we didn't have a ton of water that went into our log. But I do know that the people who were sitting in the front were definitely soaked, and they were like, "Why did he even wear a poncho? It didn't help." So,
Some
that
people
is
have been
crazy
reporting
right
that
there.
even with ponchos, they haven't been alleviated from the amount of water
Nope.
actually coming in, which is pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
No, not at
and
all.
once it's there, what do? They can't pick the boat up and dump it over. I mean, do they have a vacuum or
Yeah,
how do they get it out for the next people, or do they?
they don't. It just stays in there for the next group.
Man,
Yeah,
Which is not good. But I'll go ahead.
Well, yeah, typically they don't remove the water unless it gets to a certain point in which they actually have to take that log off and then service it, aside separate from the attraction.
Right.
But
they should have made a product placement deal with Dyson. At the end, you would see them sucking the water out.
Zip it all out.
I will say though, look,
Zippity doo
in all fairness, yeah, I miss the zippity doo. In all fairness, Knott's Berry Farm, they have a wonderful log ride, and I tell you, a lot of water gets in there too, and they do not take it out. So sometimes you're sitting in a log. So it's not just Disneyland, it happens at other theme parks as well.
Sure.
But I was just kind of surprised because it seems like a lot more water.
Disneyland's supposed to be better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, isn't
Hey, it's true. I mean, so they have the way that they've rid themselves of water before is they have these like these little ports in the very back. Yeah, exactly. They have these little ports in the very back of these logs that have these flaps over them. And so when they're actually submerged, they're closed. But when they're on these lift hills, they actually open up and allow the water to release that way.
The nautical name is a scupper.
Can you go back just a tad here in the video right before we go up the lift? Because I wanted to show something to everyone that, and this is one of the things that kind of bothered me on the ride. And you saw this obviously as you come into the ride after that first drop, but maybe just a little bit more.
So there should be a mama. Oh, okay. Yeah. So she's there.
Go back a little bit further where you see the screen on the side. There you go. That screen. So this is where the rabbits used to be when they're talking about, Brer Rabbit getting captured by Brer Fox. And on the other side, they have the possums. On the other side, rabbit stew. And on the other side, they used to have the possums. Well, there's nothing over there. They just got rid of it, made it black. And they only have this one side that actually shows the fireflies, flying by. And so I was kind of surprised that, they didn't try to do something on both sides. But they really limited themselves. It was like, we'll just leave this black over here and we'll do something on this side. And granted, you don't have to like look at one side and then try to look the other, but I just was surprised that they didn't have anything else. And then the
new total of animatronics is what?
Oh, I have to go back and count them all, but
I thought I heard somewhere where it was about 48, and they're including a lot.
The reason I'm asking is in the release this week by Universal about the Frankenstein experiment, they said 14 of those super duper animatronics. I guarantee you there isn't going to be blank space between when you see them.
Well, my whole thing is I just thought
if you have fewer, but their quality, you got to have something else in between, or else it's it's like waiting for a train to arrive at the station. When's the next animatronic happen?
Right. My point is they don't need another animatronic where those possums were. I just thought maybe they have fireflies on both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
The screen, so you have a little more atmosphere. Now, the other thing was too, if you go forward just a little bit, sorry, I just read Code and Shogi's comment. That's funny. The next thing you're going to see here is Mama Odie. Now, if you pause it real quick, you can see her right here, and she's talking to you. But then as you go ahead and hit play again, you'll notice there's like a little lip or speaker or something. Look, she's getting cut off. You can't see what she's saying. You can hear her. And by the way, I'm sitting in the back. So the people in the front can't even see that. So I was like, wait, you're supposed to see her and see what she's saying. That's not cool. So that's something they need to change for sure.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Fortunately, yours was actually working because on some rides like this one, for example,
it wasn't working.
You can actually see.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Not working out too well there. So,
and also look, they don't have as much Mr. Fog as in my video.
Yeah, in your video. Yeah, that's interesting.
I will say that the mist and the fog was amazing. It was almost a bit too much, though, as you can tell. Because as I got up to Mama Odie, there was a lot of mist, and thankfully my vertical stream, caught the Mama Odie fine. I was a little worried, but my live stream here, really captured all that mist and fog. It was great. It was really cool looking. It was a neat effect. It was almost a little too much that kind of lingered on. Because right here, it's still kind of misty and foggy. There's
and she's not moving, is she?
She was moving, I thought. Not really. Her mouth is moving, not her arms.
Mouth's moving.
The bottles again.
Yep, the bottles. And I thought there were going to be more bottles up here. They just have a handful right here at the very end. So I'm
Yeah,
surprised
aren't
they
they
didn't have
supposed to
more.
have like a bunch of them
Yeah,
leading up to this
and then
point?
here's my
To
splash,
compare.
and you can see that there's a lot of water, but not as much came splashing into the log itself.
And you didn't have a sixth person, right?
No, didn't have a sixth person. I was the only one not
Okay.
wearing a poncho too.
Wow. Okay.
Now,
Right,
here's
that's-
one
that's-
thing I think they should do. This whole area right here, to me, they
Mhm.
could. There's so much real estate. They could have, some characters that even if they're stationary, like Larry. We're coming up on Larry the armadillo there on the
Right.
left hand side. And by the
Yep.
way, I was trying to wipe my other camera. That's why my gimbal moved. But they should have more of that. I mean, they have him there, and it's like, really, that's the only animal of that whole long area that we
That was
see before
always
we go in.
kind of an
It was even with
unexpectedly
Splash
quiet
Mountain.
stretch on Splash Mountain. But
It definitely was.
all the more reason to improve it.
But I thought they would have added more. Now I know on the left hand side that's where the walkway is, so maybe they wouldn't add anything there.
Yeah.
But and then
Hanging
of course
from
this
the
is the finale right here,
Hmm.
and everything was working in the finale. I will say, before in Splash Mountain, it looked huge, it looked big, it looked just amazing. Here it feels a lot more compact.
Well,
And
because you don't have the ship with the world behind it as you
Right,
had before.
Yeah.
right. And I get that.
There literally isn't as much depth.
No, I will say though, I mean, it was very colorful. It was bright. The songs, to be honest with you, other than the one song from Princess and the Frog, the ending music and the other music really didn't do anything for me. And then this section right here, this is really dark, and it's a long, dark
Wow.
pathway before you finally get to Mama Odie. And when you do, now I don't know if he just wasn't supposed to be part of the scene, but she's talking, but Juju never comes up. He's back there, but he never quite comes up. So I don't know if there was a flaw or an issue, but or maybe he wasn't supposed to come up with that part where she's talking. But I just thought it was interesting that he did not come up. And then right here, there's really nothing until you come around the corner, and but there was not much. It was the owl that showed you your picture and everything. They don't do that anymore. I did notice, and you'll see it here in a moment when I get out of the log. They moved the section where you get your photos and you look at the photos. It's probably better because now it doesn't get so gummed up in that one area. But as I come off the ride here,
They've made this all wheelchair accessible as well.
Yeah, it's nice they finally did that. Now I did take a few photos and because I was trying to get some thumbnails real quick, but you can kind of see what it looks like and how they changed it. I do like that they've added some greenery to it. It looks cool that way. Everything's the same. It just they added some greenery and changed the paint. Now right here, see right there, that wall used to be where you would go.
That was where they were
photos.
before.
And now it's on the outside, which you'll see in a moment here. But I thought that was cool because that was always a place that got gummed up really easily. Oh man!
Yeah.
Are you clicking forward, or is that just my video skipping?
Oh no, I'm clicking forward here.
Oh, okay.
Just
I was like,
sure we...
what's that bad of a signal?
That's the truck.
Yeah.
So that's the way it shows in the show.
No, it's going. They're going to uncover it. They just haven't.
It's
done
probably
it
going to be uncovered here.
And
Technically,
plus,
these are
that wall
still
area
previews.
is where the now. Oh yeah. So this right here is where you have the actual photos. I think it's a better area.
I've heard too that you can see the borders of these screens here, like the cutouts don't line up 100%.
They don't.
With the screens behind there.
I wasn't sure.
I've
what
heard
was
they're
going
gonna
on
fix
those.
that.
Yeah, it's an easy fix. So I'm glad to hear they're going to fix it. It wasn't a big issue, but yeah, they definitely weren't lining up.
Easy fixes should have been fixed before you open the
Yeah,
ride.
you would think so.
But that wall back there, from my understanding, is coming down too because that's where they're going to be doing. Oh, and there's my. Here, you want to go download my photo? There you go. And there's Lewis's Critter Club right there that has not opened yet. But you can see the sign. I think I showed off. Oh, maybe I don't.
All right. So overall,
look,
do you
I had
think?
fun on the ride because it was like being on Splash Mountain again, and it rekindled all those memories. So it's still a fun water ride. It's just everything around it was not that exciting or great. I thought. I just, again, fresh coat of paint. Everything looked good. The characters looked good, but I didn't care about them, and I didn't care about the story. at all. It was kind of hard to follow anyhow because there's not much to it. So to me, would I go on again? Absolutely. You know, did I have fun? Sure, I had fun. Was it the best, you know, princess ride ever? No. You know, it didn't have that tension, didn't have that feel, didn't have a very good story. But oh, and Theme Park Wizard saying, yeah, Juju came up for me. So it could have been just that section. Theme Park Wizard says 9 out of 10. Look, if we're talking about just the log ride itself, you know, for sure, you know, it's you know, I would give just the log ride itself a 10 out of 10 because it was always great log ride. But with everything else, it's kind of like more like a, you know, 7 out of 10 for me because it's really not that.
Well, but because the track and the pattern of it is exactly the same as it was, then rating just the log part is rating Splash Mountain. Exactly.
Well, that's why I would give it 10 out of 10.
Right.
You know, because it's fun. It's a fun ride. People are going to enjoy it and people are going to have fun. Here's the thing. The story was so lame and terrible. No one's really going to think about that, you know, unfortunately. And no one's really going to, you know, care about it. A few people here and there. But overall, you know, people were having a good time. They had fun. I had fun on it. I have some friends that were like, oh, I'm never riding this again. It's a downgrade from Splash Mountain. I can't believe they did it. And I'm like the log ride itself was fun. I enjoyed it. I'll still go on it and have fun. I'm not going to not ride it. I just, you know, don't really care for the whole setting and story. They could have done a lot better. And one of the things I was telling Vash before our stream today is that, you know, Tiana is the only princess at Disneyland that has her mom has a shop in New Orleans. She's got her own ride in, you know, the Bayou country, right? Then you got Lewis's Critter Club, which is a store. You also have Ray's Braves, which is a store, right? And then you got Tiana's Palace, which is her restaurant. So she has more than any other character, Disney character, you know, in the parks, you know, at Disneyland. And you would think that they would try to make this like a really good story. I think if they had a really good story, they built up that tension and would have hit it out of the park, everyone would have been like, dang, it's so awesome. They put Tiana here. This is great. But they didn't do that.
Yeah, as it stands now, they didn't actually do that, which is most disappointing. I know Theme Park Wizard is coming on later in this show, actually, to give his thoughts on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And maybe it'll be a nice juxtaposition from maybe the consensus that we've come to hear, because I think as far as the Tiana attraction goes, it could have been a lot better, and it really should have been a lot better. But hey,
Go and show you says not a downgrade, a necessary downgrade.
That's right.
No.
That's what Mike from Blog Mickey actually said. So we'll keep those comments in mind there. I know we actually have somebody waiting in the back right now. He was ready, and now he is gone. We'll go ahead and give him a little bit of time right here. But yeah, looks like the tragedy of Dark Plague is the wise. That's what I'm going for. Perfect. It is awesome.
From the shadows I come.
I just like that drop right there. Love it. Very cool stuff right here. And we got a couple of super chats before we get to our next story right here. By Samuel Main, $3 super sticker. Thank you so much. It's a little guy. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I know you were gifting memberships before on the previous stream, so thank you so much for your support. Thank you. And power to the 199 going Shogi out at the gate right here. Tiana's Athlete's Foot Adventure. That is one characterization for right there.
I don't know. I think if you're going to do an athlete's foot, it's the pirate on the bridge.
Yeah,
you know, true. With his foot dangling.
Yeah, that's very
Absorbing
true.
Junior, as they call him in the Spanish Main.
So this just follows the long line of West Side attractions for the park.
Yeah,
very interesting. Well, oh boy, I do hope that things improve a little bit at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, because it has been having problems, as we've referenced before. I don't know if you can actually see this, but you can see right here, it like blanks out right at the very end. You see that?
Right.
And they've been having some problems. Hopefully they'll get them adjusted in time for the actual official opening on November 15th. But we can only wait and see. Let's go ahead and go to our next story right here, because I really want to talk about this one with Bob here on the panel, and you, Lou, as well, because we've seen we've seen the cuts that have happened at Disneyland Resort, specifically cutting of entertainment and so forth. And I know they're cutting back on Phantasmic performances, as we talked about on the show last
We've
week.
seen the cursed treasure. We know where it be hidden.
Yes. Where's my Dead men don't tell tales. Or maybe, I don't know, they do while they're still alive right before they die, or maybe they don't. I am I am ambiguous on this because this is an interesting story. This is developed a couple of times here. So I want to go ahead and start you off with Disneyland News Today's original reporting, rumor, Spider-Man Stuntronics show ending soon at Disneyland Resort, Avengers Campus. This is by Phil Wood here. So the rumors indicate that the Spider-Man Stuntronics show as part of Avengers Campus, the one that opened with the very land, might be going away. Go ahead, Lou.
But where'd
what?
you go?
Oh, I just scrolled down.
But I saw another story that said they're going to do it more often.
Yes, and we're getting to that part of it because I think the rumors. We got another panelist right here. Let's go ahead and have him on right now. This is Nolan Thunder. What is going on there? Ooh.
Hi everybody, what's up?
Everybody's dressed in their Halloween finest. I love it.
I tell you, before joining, I actually heard a loud noise in the other room, and I think it was one of my cats moving the chair over. And you think, Halloween tropes where, you hear a scary noise and everyone's terrified. I felt quite the opposite in this costume. I felt like I was about ready to bring some Jason on these guys. Like, I was excited for that prospect.
Yeah, bring some Jason on the cats there. No good. It does have an empowering effect, I'm sure, because that mask is scary. But
this is real empowerment. Like, if anyone's breaking in, trying to hurt my cats, it's over for them. They're done.
That's it, right? That's
They
it.
come in, they see you, and say, I don't think you'd have anything I'd want to steal. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
left
well,
out here.
yeah.
I didn't know you guys were going to dress up for the Halloween show here.
No,
So
I
if
didn't
I'd known
either,
that,
but
but hey,
by virtue of whatever, a ghost to begin with, so it works out.
well, I am wearing my Jaws shirt, so does that count? There we go.
That's scary.
Oh.
It counts.
There we go.
There you go. So, speaking of animatronic sharks or figures that are part of lands, that's a terrible transition. But this Spider-Man story is really interesting because, like Lou alluded to, the original reporting was that this was actually going to go away. And the reason they actually indicated was a very strange one, in my view. Our sources indicate that, ironically, Disneyland Forward is one of the reasons for the ending of the show. They claim that the cut is budgetary in anticipation for the spending to come.
Yeah.
Now, with something like this, I didn't
How
anticipate that it was so expensive to
How much did it
actually.
cost to run that show? The money was into making it work in the first place.
Sure, that's kind of what I thought. Now, Culture has informed me that apparently there is a crew that sets up this Stuntronic every single time, and so that can get with the technicians and so forth. That can get a
But
little
all
bit
the more
expensive, but-
reason to be the opposite story, which I saw, which said they were going to do it 4 or 5 more times a day than they're doing it now.
Right.
If those people are on the clock, they're not on the per show. It's got to be, from X to X. And so I don't know.
You would think. So a couple of days later, Blog Mickey actually comes out with this story. Disney California Adventure adding even more Spider-Man Stuntronic shows
That's
to
the
Avengers
one that I
Campus
saw.
very soon. Despite unfounded rumors, Disneyland Resort has announced that it will not only not be ending the Spider-Man Stuntronic show at Disney California Adventure, but in fact expanding the number of shows per day. Currently, the stunt show is shown 9 times per day. Apparently, they will be increasing that amount. According to a report from OC Register, Disney California Adventure will be adding more opportunities for guests to watch this incredible Stuntronic robotic Spider-Man soar through the skies of Avengers Campus starting November 17th. Okay, fair enough. They're not getting rid of it. They're actually adding more. Okay, well then now we have a new report out of Disneyland news today. Update, Disneyland Resort adding more Spider-Man Stuntronic performances for the holiday season ahead of rumored show cancellation. As we reported on the rumor that the Spider-Man Stuntronic show in Disney California Adventure would end soon, Disney announced that they would add more performances to the schedule for the holiday season. The Spider-Man Stuntronic show will have even more performances starting on November 17th. Our sources report that the show will still be ending, just not in November. Performers were informed recently that they will be let go. So this is interesting. Now, here's the thing with look, I don't give Tom Corliss and their operation, credit all the time. But I will say on these entertainment cuts, they've been kind of at the forefront of a lot of these stories. To be honest, their reporting has actually been correct more times than not when it comes to the entertainment cuts at Disneyland. I don't doubt their original reporting that may have had this show actually going away. And in fact, I'm inclined to believe that it might still be going. But it is interesting because the company, not only through Blog Mickey, but actually Scott Gustin is saying that they're going to be adding more shows as time goes on. What do we actually believe here? Is this show actually going away? Is it smart that this show is going away? What are you guys' take on all this?
Wasn't there more coverage that is kind of a compensation, retaliation, whatever, for the unionization of the performers? That the other performers, the other Marvel characters that wandered around the land were going to be disappearing. So if they're doing this to fill in that gap, to not have those real people there, and then all of a sudden it all goes away, and they give us an excuse like, well, the construction is starting and it would be in the way. This guy is pretty much paid for, even with a crew to run it.
Yeah.
The big cost of making it work is capitalized already,
That's very true.
So,
Bob?
Vash and I had a conversation about this a couple days ago. And after we talked about it, I went to my source at Disneyland to say, what the heck is going on? And is the show being canceled? Now, my source confirmed to me that they are planning on canceling the show, but would not say exactly when. And so it's kind of funny that they're adding the shows, and I'm sure they're trying to add more shows during the holidays, which is nice. But according to this new article that you just showed, and my source, it sounds like after the holidays, sometimes they could possibly be getting rid of this attraction. In fact, they actually said they're going to get rid of it. It's just a matter of when.
That's interesting. I do believe that Walt Disney World News Today has a source straight from entertainment delivering this information, and that's why it's been so relatively accurate in their reporting previously to this one. And I do think you're right, Lou. I do think that Disney might be taking it out on the performers of Disneyland Resort for their unionization effort and removing...
Taking it out. They're cutting costs.
Yeah.
And that's where they chose to cut.
Right.
So,
that's exactly what they're doing.
Now,
it's not a personal thing. It's, you made yourself more expensive. We can't afford you. Bye.
I get it. But, here's the problem I have with the whole, trying to cut cost things. That they're raising the prices for everyone and yet trying to cut more costs. It's like, how much are you going to keep cutting? They already cut so many shows and so many performers at the park.
Well,
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we've experienced.
The answer is they're going to cut as many as they can get away with.
I suppose you're
they
right.
Can charge us later for more shows.
And we'll go into that story there, Bob. That's for sure. You're previewing something that we'll be hitting.
Oh, sorry.
In just a moment. But here's the thing: the two biggest venues for Disneyland Resort are currently unoccupied. The Hyperion Theater in Disney California Adventure and the Fantasyland Theater in Disneyland. They both do not have shows running currently. We might get a Christmas show for the Fantasyland Theater in this holiday season. I know they're dressing it up for something to take place there. Hopefully they do. Or maybe it might be another meet and greet space for Santa Claus or something. I'm not sure. But there is a distinct lack of entertainment options at Disneyland Resort that used to exist for so many years. And we've just had more cuts as this unionization effort has gone through. If they're looking to reduce costs for this show, it's interesting because Theme Park Wizard actually provides this in the chat right here. The rumor is that the show itself might not be being canceled, but the performer that actually acts on both ends of that stuntronic sweeping through the air might be cut. That makes a lot of sense. You might just have a generic meet and greet character at, on the bottom of this attraction when he actually sweeps through the air, and that way you don't have to pay a performer to act out the routine that goes along with this, which
Right.
Is maybe not the worst scenario in the world, especially for this land, because it is really dead without experiences like this. We just lost this Doctor Strange show. We just lost a couple of different entertainment offerings at this specific land right here. I hope they retain this show, but it does seem to me that, while they might be increasing shows for the holiday season, that might not be the arrangement that they have going forward, which makes a lot of sense. They tend to make a little bit more money during the holiday season, so expenditures like this are a lot easier to justify versus later on when crowds get light. Well, now we have to make some cuts. We have another guest in the back here that's going to be joining us. I believe he's in costume as well. Is that Spencer? Is that Spencer Mercouli from Bounty of the Comics?
It's him! What is up, everyone? Vash, Bob, Luke, and Greg.
Hey, Spencer.
Guys, that's so awesome.
You know the thing about you, Spencer? I wish you'd
There's
get
a lot
some
of things about me.
I wish you'd get some energy in what you do. You're
You
always
know
so
what?
low
I
key.
know. I'm just so tired and low all the time. I know there's no hype to my performances, to my appearances. I'm so sorry. I know I'm not bringing the energy, but yes, guys, 3,000. That's awesome. I'm super stoked for you guys. I mean, I think it should be higher, but obviously this is an amazing step. I've been watching the stream for the last couple minutes since you guys went live, but I figured this would be the perfect time to join in because it's Spider-Man. And I just have a kind of a question here for you guys.
Please.
Do they even have animatronics that would make this look any better than like a 70s movie throwing a dummy off of a building? Like, I can't imagine that this is going to look fun. It's going to be like a static mannequin. Maybe it like raises its legs, but I don't know. This seems very, very not entertaining. Somebody in one of your viewers. Who was it?
It kind of reminds me that what's that outfit that makes the robot dogs? Berkeley something, Stanford.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's
yes.
that kind of thing. So it's certainly more than a dummy being thrown off a building. There's no doubt about that.
I mean,
go ahead.
When you see it live and in person, it actually looks pretty darn good, and it's a pretty impressive effect, and it adds a lot of connected energy to this land. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I like the show. I've watched it many times, and the animatronic Spider-Man part is really, really cool. But what makes it, especially towards the end, is seeing the physical, character come down because he, does a couple stunts. He comes down, and then he comes down to take photos with all the guests, and that's amazing in itself. And everyone gets really excited and hyped up when he comes down. So I can't imagine if they kept the show. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. If they just kept the animatronic part, what are they going to do for the rest of it? Because it's not a very long show to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, I would think in that case, the framing would be, just another day near the Avengers. Look who's flying through. Kind of.
I would think so. Yeah.
In a weird way, streetmosphere of Marvel. But
without those bookends from that performer, that's going to be interesting. And also,
exactly.
The performer is not the one that meet and greets with guests. It's two separate people right there. So I can see getting rid of the performer aspect because obviously that's a specialized role, whereas a meet and greet is a little bit different in terms of its pay structure and everything else.
I would say the opposite, Vash, and I'll tell you why.
Please.
If you've got Spider-Man the robot and Spider-Man the performer, and one of the only attractions there is a Spider-Man attraction, better to meet and greet the other characters in the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of Spider-Man invested there. Maybe it's time to broaden the spectrum, and if you got to get rid of something, the meet and greet would be the thing, to me.
Yeah. It does key in on why Spider-Man was actually chosen for this land to begin with, Spider-Man being the most popular character in terms of sales for consumer product. Spider-Man has always been number one for Marvel, so it kind of makes sense they would incorporate him in the land that way. But I think you're right, Lou. I think this land would benefit from more diversity in terms of the characters that are featured within this land.
Well,
And
especially, look, of all of the Marvel characters, Spider-Man and Deadpool are the two most able to be, for lack of a better term, a wise ass with meet and greets. And what I'm thinking of, I'm sure you've all seen, if you haven't seen in person, the Transformers guy at Universal.
Oh yeah, the Megatron.
Who is just plain
Megatron.
brilliantly hilarious.
Yeah.
There's these videos all over YouTube. They need something like that, but not something that goes as far as the somewhat salacious stuff that happened with Deadpool. So
yeah,
So
Yeah,
if you
they,
have to have, if you're going to have a character like that, who would it be? You know, it could be Thor as kind of a Gaston take on being arrogant and supercilious and all that.
Would actually be fun.
a little rocket
Yeah,
might be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Rocket would be
I know
great.
they had a screen-based version at D23, but you could do a little rocket animatronic. That I think that would be really cool, and
yeah.
that might be pretty awesome.
I could see
There
Rocket
are
animatronic working like the donkey one, the Shrek donkey one over at Universal, where it's sort of like set up on
Right.
the walkway, and it kind of just you have the other performer just sort of like shouting at everybody all the time. Not
Exactly.
shouting, that sounds negative, but you know, like calling
I'm just
out.
trying
Yeah.
to think of which character could be their version of what that Transformer guy does, because God, I look forward to seeing new ones of those on YouTube all the time, because he's so scornful and so wonderfully arrogant. And I saw one where this woman comes out and poses in front of him to get a selfie, you know, and he says, "Dear, it is impossible to look conquering and powerful wearing Crocs. Why don't you know that?" You know, and she's wearing Crocs. And I mean, you know, he's real. He's funny.
you need more character interaction stuff. Not only in Avengers Campus, but Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, most especially. That stuff needs to increase because
What
these lands.
is at Galaxy's Edge right now? Is it just that original character, Do Not Steal, the black lady? Even there anymore?
Well, no, Vi is gone. I haven't seen Vi in forever, by the way. Vi Marathi, I haven't seen her at all. They do have the Stormtroopers and Kylo Ren himself, which have a couple of pre-recorded lines that walk through the land right now. You have Rey, but obviously she's not like, quick-witted in that way. You have a couple of characters from the Mandoverse, but outside of that, that's it. And all these appearances, by the way, are very irregular. So it's a catch as catch can kind of thing.
I just saw Vi over the weekend on Sunday. So
Oh, did you?
It just
She's back.
Confirmed Vi
I haven't
sighting.
seen her.
It's like this is another Disney thing they used to do so well and they've forgotten how to do. Look at when Toontown opened and you had all those Meet Mickey things with the different rooms that all sort of one open, the other one closed, and you could get a lot of people through there to meet Mickey. It was great. It was really great.
I remember when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was touted as being a living, breathing land that adventures would happen all around you. You'd have stunt shows and so forth. They actually showed video for all of that. To not do any of that was really disappointing. Marvel was great because it had a lot of those things kind of built in. Wasn't nearly as interactive as what was promised with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. But to see the dwindling of those entertainment options, or what is it, entertainment activations in these various lands be whittled away the way they have is really, really disappointing. Hopefully they don't get rid of this Suntronic show.
And it leaves a whole bunch of real estate without him. Think about it. If you go from Spider-Man or the other Marvel characters doing their interactions with people live, now start going to your right and go through all of DCA. And other than the night parade show, nothing, right?
No,
I mean, in Islands of Adventure, you've got superheroes and people on motorcycles and all kinds of stuff, but not a Disneyland that way anymore.
Very, very tragic. And apparently this situation might actually get worse. And Bob, you were talking about this before. I want to go ahead and give you credit because you know what's coming right here. This is I don't like this at all. Let's go ahead and get into it. Walt Disney World News today. All major Tokyo Disney Resort shows adding paid seating. This is by Shannon Ace, October 25th, 2024. Major Tokyo Disney Resort stage shows will add paid seating options through Disney Premier Access starting next month. Disney Premier Access will soon be available for Mickey's Magical Music World and Club Mouse Beat at Tokyo Disneyland and Big Band Beat at Tokyo Disney Sea. These shows will still offer entry requests, a free lottery available via the Tokyo Disney Resort app. Guests who don't get an entry time through the lottery will be able to purchase DPA for each show. With show viewing through DPA, guests can select their admission time when they purchase access and enjoy a reserved viewing area as seen in the charts below. And yes, there are charts, folks, for seating in these various stage shows at Tokyo. I'm bringing this story up because I understand it's Tokyo. It's under the Oriental Land Company banner, which isn't necessarily associated with Disney outside of a licensing agreement that they have with the company. However, from my experience, this is where Disney gets ideas. Okay, because they monitor all the operations for the various parks and resorts around the world, including Tokyo, and conceivably, they examine the viability in a lot of their unique operations. Now, some of those things are culturally based, so you can't translate them one-to-one for the American audiences in North America, but I could see them actually doing this, and we have a history of them doing something like this. I know when the Steve Rogers show was added to the Hyperion Theater in when the Hyperion was actually active, they actually had priority seating for that show where you purchased like a package and so forth, and they gave you a couple of things, but it was priority seating for that show. Now we have this Disney Premier Access priority seating for stage shows being a permanent fixture at Tokyo Disney Resort. Guys, if Disney does bring back some entertainment options to their big venues stateside, is this coming along with it? What do you guys think?
And if it does, will you fill up that huge Hyperion Theater?
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's kind of my question is obviously from what you guys report, the Asian Tokyo, like Disneyland locations and such, they are sort of a little more magical than the ones in the West, right? So as in like they still keep the kayfabe a lot. They still try to make it like a magical place. There's not trash everywhere, so on and so forth. But oh gosh, did I just lose my train of thought? I did. Oh well.
Well, yeah. So
no, wait, never mind. I got it back. Sorry, Vash. I didn't mean to cut you off. But
you're good.
My question was: does Disney have the sort of pull in the West to make this beneficial? And I'm asking you guys, like, I don't know. Like, would there be enough people here in America who go, "Oh yeah, we totally love this. We're all gonna buy the paid seating," even though
there's a lot of suckers buying the paid line jumping.
That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
But you have to remember that the park ticket in Japan is what? $60, $70 a day.
That's true.
Not 200 or 150.
Yeah.
So how much more could they add? $20? People would pay that for a better seat, maybe. But here, when you've already paid $200 to get in the door, to have the right to buy a ticket.
And this is a different value statement.
Yeah,
Lou's got a point here.
So going back to, because I know Silver Stars mentioned this in the comments, but also we were talking about the price. So when it came to the paid premium viewing for Rogers the Musical, basically you got a package that included the musical popcorn bucket with kettle corn and choice of bottled beverage, plus access to lounge seating before the show. You got priority choice of seating in theater, a souvenir lanyard, a priority access photo opportunity, and it was for $29. So that's what it was.
Yeah, so they were attempting to provide more value for that purchase price. I'll give Disney credit there. Not a terrible deal, but again, these used to be exclusively first come first served venues.
Especially when you consider some of those perks are eBayable by people who do that sort of thing. So you might
That's a
get
fair
your
point.
$30 back by selling your popcorn bucket.
True.
Right. That's a fair point.
I don't know
guess
how prevalent that is in Japan compared to here.
Yeah, I don't
that's
know
true.
either.
They do sell a lot of collectibles throughout the Tokyo Disney Resort, and a lot of that merch. I know American visitors very highly sought after.
Well, then give us the Kingdom Hearts stuff over here already. Come on.
I agree. I don't disagree with you, Spencer. But
I guess go ahead.
well, the thing that worries me is that we've seen this monetization of the parks, just run rampant throughout the entire company, right? I mean, the Premier Pass, Lightning Lane stuff, the Lightning Lanes in general, the nickel and diamond that constantly is going on in these parks. I could see them implementing this. They're already doing it somewhat in Fantasmic with these dining packages and so forth.
Or
I can see them doing something
Candlelight.
like this. And I can also see it as a way of justifying the expenses associated with these shows and these productions and so forth. We just talked about a story in which they were looking to remove some operating costs associated with shows. If you could offset those operating costs by having these paid seating options available, I could see them going in that direction as well, because the company is just like, hey, we are getting a lot of guests in right now.
Well,
not putting on these shows. This has to have a direct monetizational component.
And
to
that's where them knowing the numbers and us not leaves us totally unable to judge. Because take a look at the dining plans for Candlelight at Epcot. We went to one. It was great. We went to the Japanese restaurant and saw the show, and it was worth the bump. The question becomes, when we did it, it was for about 6 restaurants along World Showcase. Now it's everywhere, and you could have lunch and still have the access to the special tickets for the show. In other words, there's no timing involved as far as being a dinner show. And secondly, the question becomes, would those restaurants get the same amount of business anymore at the high price they cost if they didn't have that added to it? Or would a standalone reserved seat for Candlelight sell without the dinner attached? Same thing with, we just, on our last trip to Disneyland, did the package for Fantasmic and the Blue Bayou and got the little seating mat and like that. And it was great. And I thought it was very much worth it. But if I didn't have that package, would I go to Blue Bayou again? I don't know. Or if I was at Blue Bayou anyway, if I'd seen Fantasmic 7 times, would I? You see what I'm saying? They know how to crunch those numbers, or they used to. And so I guess you have to say, if they do it, what does it cost? And if that's what it costs, that's the price point at which they thought they could make the most net between the two events, the dinner and the show or whatever.
Discrimination on
I guess what's really disappointing about a lot of this is that we are seeing so much of this of the separation of experiences in terms of how much you actually pay for it. This have and the have-nots situation that we're seeing in the parks right now. It used to be limited to just Club 33 and everybody else practically. Now we have 4 ways to actually experience an attraction, and all split, in terms of price. Basically, you have now Club 33 priority seating at like Fantasmic and Fireworks, so it's a little bit more in your face that way. You have priority seating at a lot of these shows, parades, and so forth. It's just it is getting to this point where the valuation is so decreased that I think a lot of people are thinking about these parks differently because of that. That might explain why attendance has been relatively late at Walt Disney World.
Well, now, see, here's the thing. When they planned out these upgraded, up-priced ticket deals, the new versions of Lightning, whatever that they're calling it this week, They didn't think they were going to be doing it in a time when their overall attendance was way down. That's been the sad pill that they're trying to overcome with that revenue. But they thought it was going to be revenue on top of normal. Nobody told them, hey, you're going to be dead for, what is it now, 6 months, 7 months that they've been down that we know of. So,
you only lose your reputation once, like you said, Lou.
Yep.
So tragic. But speaking of the haves and the have-nots, this is a fun story. Spencer, it's the one you've been waiting for, buddy. You've been talking about it on this show
My
for a while.
favorite.
We never featured it on T3PO Live because there was just so many stories that were coming out. Well, it is our 3K celebration stream. What better way than to celebrate with a Club 33 story? 3K, you see what I did there? Right here. This from the Hollywood Reporter.
Oh,
this
yeah.
actually comes out
Yes.
September 12th, 2024. So it's a little
Oh,
old,
these people.
My favorite people on the planet.
Oh, brother.
but it's
This couple.
absolutely worth it. Quote, "It's a cult!" And Walt's Messiah. Meet the couple who sued Disney over secretive Club 33. Scott and Diana Anderson, who spent $400,000 fighting their expulsion from the ultra-exclusive Disneyland Society, are ready to spill all, from using Walt's bathroom to Rebel Wilson's suspension to Tom Hanks's private Thanksgiving dinner. Quote, "Waffles at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, nor no problem." This by Seth Abramovich. Yes. Scott and Diana Anderson only want one thing: to be let back into Club 33. But Club 33 definitely does not want them as members. Since 1967, the club has served as Disneyland's highest rolling VIPs, as in the In the Know Oasis over Parts of the Caribbean ride that purports to make the happiest place on earth even happier. This is the most exclusive club in all of Southern California. Much of that is due to the fact that Club 33 was for decades the only place inside Disneyland proper to get a hard drink. That changed in 2018 with the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and the addition of Oga's Cantina. In 2018, the club opened a satellite location available to its platinum tier members, the 1901 Lounge in California Adventure. The Andersons, both 60, have been together for 44 years. They waited 12 of those years to receive their Club 33 invitation, shelling out $50,000 for their first year dues alone. They got their money's worth, however, using the club's upward of 80 days per year. By the 5th year of their membership, however, the magic was fading. They saw new managers taking over. Their favorite chef was gone, and they were reportedly slapped with member violations. The worst of them came on September 3rd, 2017, when Scott was discovered by park security keeled over a bench in California Adventure near the 1901 Lounge. A park guard said he smelled alcohol in his breath. Scott says that was a vestibular migraine triggered by red wine. A month after the incident, the Andersons were informed that they had been expelled from Club 33 forever. Thus began their $400,000 legal odyssey to get reinstated and seek $231,000 in damages. But the Andersons lost after a jury of 12 deliberated for 45 minutes and ruled in Disney's favor. We'll go over their comments in just a second.
I didn't know the 45-minute bit. The story literally gets better every time we talk about it. I love it so much.
Yes. So let me just lay the groundwork here. Yeah, Club 33 exists now in every single Disney park, but
It keeps
only
getting better.
Yes, it existed exclusively for a long, long time at Disneyland Park. Club 33 was above. Pirates of the Caribbean kind of roughly where it is, but it's that kind of that center jut out of buildings in New Orleans Square. So above like Cafe Orleans, I think is a better approximation of where this actually was at. They've since expanded. 1901 has their own lounge at Disney California Adventure, and then there are Club 33 site locations at every single Walt Disney World park nowadays. That's a very kind of interesting thing there as well.
Well, and there was some talk when they closed my Palace of Kangaloosh, the Adventurers Club, that they were going to turn that into a Club 33.
Yeah,
but it never happened. So
they went with the Edison, which was different. That would have been an interesting Club 33 location to actually have. Maybe they wanted to isolate to just the parks themselves. Not quite sure, but yes, this is unbelievably expensive, folks. It's invitation only. That's the thing to keep in mind nowadays. So it's not like you can just have a bunch of cash and throw it in Disney's face. You have to be invited. From what I understand, there's about a 10-year waiting list to even get into the club. You're paying dues for every single year. That you wait, and then once you're actually in the club, yeah, it's I've heard the last number I heard was about anywhere between $28,000 to $32,000 a year to be part of Club 33. It is unbelievably exclusive.
And wait,
I
it
think-
gets better.
Please.
These people, they were in Arizona someplace, so they had to come
Yes,
there
they were.
from.
Oh
You're-
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they were. They own like a golf course, I believe, in Arizona.
Just so you know,
please.
you can get into Club 33 quicker than the 10-year wait, but you have to know 2 members and they have to sign basically, letters to Club
Oh,
33
heck yeah.
asking to get in. So you can get in sooner, but yeah,
I love that.
otherwise it's not wait.
It's like a yacht club.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, I have a friend who used to be office manager for a guy who was the head of his local yacht club in Marina del Rey. And he used to write letters to the members on the Commodore's behalf. And they called them Dear Commodores and Commodorables. Last vestige of sexism. And speaking of sex, he was not drunk, but sick. They were targeting him after expressing concerns about sexual harassment. Oh, the plot thickens, I tell you. And I love the guy writing this at least
Comes
had
out
some
swinging.
fun. Read the next sentence. And so,
Yeah, so let's
the
go ahead and
Andersons have
continue
no
on.
more Donald Ducks to give.
The Andersons respond. Scott vehemently attests that he was not drunk but sick. Feel that they were, quote, targeted after expressing concerns over sexual harassment by another club member. And so the Andersons have no more Donald Ducks to give, just like Lou said right there. At least that appeared to be the case when they joined The Hollywood Reporter for a conversation about the secrets of Club 33. Quote, the worst part with Club 33 is conservatively 80% of all the members were selling access. Yeah, that's kind of how that goes there. Claims they have a practice that is prohibited by the club bylaws, and they're selling all the merchandise online. They're making cottage industries off the place, explains Scott. A lot of it is to pay their dues. Dues today are $32,000, which is just insane.
That's a lot of popcorn buckets.
That's a lot of money.
That's quite a bit right there. I remember,
All for a drink.
when we were offered a timeshare in Southern California, and the seller actually said, "Hey, you buying this timeshare? I'll get you access to Club 33." And this was like 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So the selling of access and so forth, that's been going on for a long, long time. I know there was a particular couple. I don't know if it was this couple, but I know there was a particular couple who was flagrantly breaking bylaws and selling access and doing all kinds of stuff. Disney had a crackdown. I think this was anywhere between 5 to 6 years ago, and they really upped the dues. They reduced a lot of the valuation. So previously it was like unlimited tickets for any of your guests or whatever. Now there's a set amount of tickets that you actually give out. There's a set amount of annual passes that you give out. I will say those annual passes, they're not like the annual passes that you can buy just at the ticket booth. They're like premier annual passes or premium annual passes, in which they actually work across the coasts. So they allow you your access not just to Disneyland Resort, but also to Walt Disney World as well. That's another perk that they actually receive. There's a couple of other things. But because of all of that attached to the club, you are scrutinized to a higher degree than your regular average guest. And if you bring somebody, that is your guest to the park or even to the club itself,
You're responsible.
what you
for
do
their
reflects on you.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're serious about code of conduct when you're a club member. Go ahead, Lou.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because if they can kick somebody out, that's another one to sell.
Bingo. There it is.
At the new higher price. Anyway, so this woman tells us that she's been a fan. Walt's Eternal Light. Nobody calls it that. Walt's Eternal. Have you ever heard anybody call it that?
I've not heard anybody call
when
it
she
Walt's
says it's a
Eternal Light
cult,
before.
yeah, if you treat it like a cult, it's a cult. Anyway,
She talks about her history here and personal history. Apparently, they do own a golf course in Gilbert, Arizona. But we'll go ahead and skip here. There was a $25,000 level of membership and a $40,000 level of membership. Did it really take you 12 years to gain entry to the Club 33? Yes, but we started saving up before then. We were thinking it would be about $12,000. The actual amount, it was $40,000 plus your first year dues, which was $10,000. That included access for her mother and our son.
That's
What was your
they,
actual?
they kept paying it. I can't give them sympathy when they're like, "Oh yeah, this was more expensive.
Yeah,
We were saving
exactly.
forever." And it's like, "Well, but then you paid
Right.
it for like 10 years."
Right.
Oh, that's the thing. They want to get back in, Spencer. The magic's
yeah, that
dimmed, but they
too.
want back in. Go ahead.
That's the glorious thing about it. I'm choosing Chaos Route. I am rooting for these people because I
Oh.
want to see the craziness break out with the rich people
Oh,
feud.
jeez.
Like,
We
this
want
is
back
amazing. They're
into the
using
club.
terms such as the light of Walt, all these like cult type stuff. I mean, perfect time of year for it. Like, I want to see a
Yeah.
movie about these suckers. This is great.
There
Leave it to
was
Nolan.
a movie in development based on Club 33 for a little while. I think it's
Really?
been shelved, but there was one. Yeah, they were gonna go
Would
with
it
a
gonna
more
be
a hit
fantasy
like
aspect to it.
Tomorrowland?
Yeah, it was gonna be more of the Tomorrowland style, less real life. But they were doing it.
Somebody
would-
just do it, call it Club 44. Make up a fake theme park. Ooh, I know. National Lampoon should do it for Wally World Revisited.
Oh my
There you
goodness.
go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
VIP Wally.
actually.
Lou, you might have $1 million idea right there.
Call
I
it
got
Club
lots of them.
69.
Find me a $1
Hey,
million person.
Hey-o.
You get 10%.
exactly.
Just give me the royalties.
Okay, so what do you get in the actual club itself? Liquor and food. When we joined, they had the dining room and the trophy room. They have since changed that out. There was a big refurbishment that was done to the Club 33. I want to say like 10
less
years
than?
ago.
Was it?
Pretty recent. I remember hearing
Yeah,
about it
because they
pretty
got
recently.
rid of the Court of Angels.
It
Yeah.
was
in
when
that hall,
Marcel was there. Oh, God.
which is really, really sad. Yeah. When they opened up the new membership types, they opened a second club called 1901 Lounge, which is on the California Adventure side. It's right underneath the Cartha Circle Theater there. And it's next to the Cars restaurant. It holds maybe 45 people total inside. When it's a Cars restaurant, that's incorrect. It's like a Snow White themed restaurant.
I
it's part
hate
of
to
Cartha
burst
Circle.
this woman's bubble,
Yeah.
but waffles at 4 o'clock, we call that Waffle House here in the South. And it
You
doesn't
can
cost
do
10
better than
grand.
Waffle House, though. Does it still count when it's Waffle House?
It's good.
Well, do they have
Those are
Marcel,
damn-
though?
No, we got Marceline. She's working the counter today, and
That's true. They have
Marcel
light
St. Pierre.
bites,
Probably
cocktails,
his name
wine,
is-
beer.
it's George Fogarty, and he's from New Jersey. You know, so Marcel St. Pierre, of course.
You used to get the Lily Bell, that's correct. It's no longer the case anymore. Isn't the food in Club 33 supposed to be really good? It was when Marcel was there. I love that. So funny.
That was from last year. The food was really good. It was just small.
Scott, when we first joined, the original chef, Marcel St. Pierre, would make
I
a
haven't-
world of different things for you. You could
been no
have a
photo
full
post.
rack of prime rib for a party of 8, and he'd bring it all out and hand slice it. Dana, waffles at 4 o'clock in the
Four
afternoon.
o'clock in
No
the
problem.
afternoon.
Note to Marcel,
No problem.
it's easier to slice it with a knife than with your hand. Next, um,
Hand slice
you
it.
can take photos in
pretty
the
good.
lounge, but then it says you can't take pictures in the bathroom, but that's just California law. So if that's just California law, what's it in this article for?
Well, they talk about the Rebel Wilson incident. Do you remember that? When she was she was like kicked out of the park that day, I think, or something,
something
where
like that.
because she clicked a photo of the restroom in Club 33 and posted it online.
Ooh.
There's no blackout days or anything. That's correct, unless they close the club down because they have Tom Hanks coming for Thanksgiving. Then you have to get out by 3:30. I will say, the passes that are afforded to Club 33 members, they don't have to go through the reservation system that other people do. So we talk about the calendars and how it's blocked out and people have a real hard time getting into Disneyland on certain days and so forth. All that rigmarole Club 33 members don't actually have to go through, which is nice. You see right there. Remember, Rebel Wilson got suspended for 30 days for taking a picture in the bathroom, and then 6 months later took a video of her dancing with Minnie Mouse in the Grand Salon, and then she was on TV, a Daily Show, announcing that she'd been suspended. Bigger scandal was actually Katy Perry offering access to the lounge for charity, $160,000. I didn't actually know about that story. Again, you can't do it unless Disney actually sanctions it.
Proves
So,
it. Yeah.
yeah, indeed. How are people profiting off their memberships? They're selling their 100 park tickets. They're selling access. They're getting about $125 for lunch in the club ahead. Yeah, so now I think it's a prefix menu that they've moved to. Is that right? Where you have like a minimum that people pay regardless of what they're actually getting. Is that right, Bob? Or
It's $170 now. It was $130. Now it's $170.
Okay. Ooh. Oh boy, how is that? I should mention this. Bob is probably the only one that's actually gone into Club 33. I don't know about your experience, Lou. But I know you've gone there relatively recently. How's the food there?
Are you asking me or him?
Yeah,
Or
I'm
both
asking
of
you.
us? Okay, so the food was actually really, really good. I enjoyed it. The problem is they're very small plates, and that was my big issue. Is that they do bring out quite a few different. It's like a 5-course meal. It's nice, but everything's very, very small. And I
would
everything was a
say
little bit
it's
bigger.
the equivalent of a high-end hotel dining room in the 70s or 80s. It makes itself a little more modern by the tiny portions and the way it's served, but the food is pretty basic, I think. Basic, quote unquote, gourmet restaurant. I don't know what it costs lately at Victoria and Albert's, but I'll bet that food's better these days. I don't know. Haven't been there in a long time. But that's a few things,
Well, I will say I love the food. The food was great. The drinks were amazing, and they didn't skimp on the alcoholic drink that I ordered. So those were great. I really enjoyed it. In fact, there's something that they didn't have on the menu anymore, and that was this special mac and cheese. And we said, hey, can you make it for us? They said, sure. They charged us, I think, $15 for, and it was probably about maybe this big. It wasn't a huge dish, but it was really, really good. And we ordered a couple of them. But I had a great experience. Don't get me wrong. Just the plates are small, but the food to me was really, really good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's a valid critique, of course.
It was from the glory days of Marcel or whatever the name of that chef was.
It was Marcel, damn it.
Their point.
Marcel.
I bet Marcel's over at Universal now, guys.
Yeah. Serving up
If I meet him, I'll get his
amazing dishes
autograph,
over there at
please.
Epic Universe, I'm sure. Dang it, Marcel. Come on back. We need you.
What if they come out when they're doing the Epic Universe stuff and they're like, now to announce our new restaurant, like the Frankenstein Food Hub or whatever, with special chef Marcel, and they start like advertising him as.
But Marcel died 20 years ago. That's
they don't need
why
it.
he's
So did
at
you,
the-
and you're here.
But that's what I'm saying. They didn't finish the punchline. Yes, he did. He's bringing you food from beyond.
There's only one way out of Club 33.
Oh,
Getting kicked out, apparently.
Turning back now.
Ooh, sounds like my house on Halloween. Oh, it is Halloween. What can I say?
nice. Oh man. Oh, they got the receipts. That's interesting. Yeah, they got their lawsuit right here. So these guys were kicked out for for what what is it? What the Disneyland Resort considers illicit behavior. And they tried to sue to get back in. They have failed. I think there was one quote. It's not in this article. I was trying to find it before the show, but I couldn't. That said that, are you going to give this up? And Diana's like, no, I will go to my grave if I'm trying to get back into this club, doing everything I possibly can to do it. I mean, it was like that kind of level of commitment. So, I don't know. I mean, you already got kicked out of one court right there. Maybe you could appeal it and see if it goes up the chain, but I don't think you're going to be able to overrule a jury there. Go ahead, Lou.
Somewhere there's a lawyer who'll take that case. Doesn't mean it's a good case. Doesn't mean they're going to win. It just means, look,
It's a paycheck, right?
yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
they
boy,
can join Club 32 and 1/3.
Club 32 and 1/3. I love it. Oh boy.
Hey,
well,
wait. What's the size tag on the Mad Hatter's hat?
Oh, is it 5?
6 and 7/8 or 5
6
and
and
yeah.
7/8? I
That
can't
could be
remember.
the number.
Yeah, there you go.
Indeed.
Look, I mean, I've been to the club once. I would love to go back again. Paying that much money for a place where you still have to go and pay for dinner and whatnot, I don't see the value in it. I don't understand why they're fighting so hard to get into this club.
To be fair, I guarantee you, especially since they're in the golf course business, that there are golf clubs, private ones, that cost a lot more than that a year. And you have to remember that, as it was always explained to me, the audience for this thing is people who want to take clients there and do business. So they write it off as an expense to their business, high-end industrialists or insurance agents or whatever, that they do business with people from other cities, other states. And they say, well, when you come out to visit us, we'll take you someplace you can't go with anybody else. So, it's worth what people are willing to pay for it.
I can tell you right now that some people use it as a status symbol. Their identities are attached to things like this. So it may not make any sense to us, but for them, it may make all the sense in the world. And I think that's the loose point right there.
Is the quote in here from the husband? Like, because maybe it's not them, but I know that there was at least one interview. I'm pretty sure it's with them where they like. The wife is like, yeah, we're not done with this fight yet. We're going in. And the husband's like, we don't have the money. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it because it rules. It makes me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I found it. It is in an LA Times article about them. I'm going to shoot it into the back for you, Vash, but I'm going to read it while we're here just so that our viewers don't get weirded out.
I might actually have it. What's do you have a keyword there?
LA Times Disney obsessed couple. That's the first like 3 words of it.
Right. What's
dead set, dude. Dead set.
Gotcha. Let me go ahead and bring that up right now.
That'll bring us up to the quote exactly.
Yep. There we go.
So this is my favorite part. This is out of the LA Times, and so it's just talking about their first rejection and such. It's probably part of that same press tour when they went to THR there. But we have the husband Scott saying, "My wife and I are both dead set that this is an absolute wrong, and we will fight this to the death. There is no way we're letting this go." But then he says, "My retirement is set back 5 years. I'm paying through the nose. Every day I'm seeing another bill and I'm about to keel over." And then his wife says, "I'll sell a kidney. I don't care."
I mean, it is wild. It's wild how dedicated these guys are. Oh, boy.
We're going to one day see them doing like a charity live stream just to raise money to fight Disney or something.
We need that, that clip from the Pro Show from Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
Stop.
We need that.
Stop.
For these guys right here. Oh, boy.
When it comes to this man's wife, you know what he probably thinks now?
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Anyway.
Oh, very true. Very true. Clifflix with $10. Thank you so much, Clifflix. Very much appreciated. Greetings from Tokyo Disneyland. Hey, that's awesome. You made it out there. Fantastic. I'm riding Splash Mountain my 3rd time today. These 2 parks in Tokyo truly are perfection. Unbelievable. I have heard so many great things about the Tokyo parks there. Go to Tokyo Disney Seas for me. Let me know just how amazing that all is. And yes, ride Splash Mountain for all of us right there. Because I'm feeling a bit nostalgic.
That is amazing. The fact that he's listening to us while getting to be in line and such for Splash Mountain, like, dude, take the full Disney experience. The glory days, like, you enjoy every minute of that trip. Be on Cloud 9, dude. That's so cool.
It is 7:27 a.m. over there in Tokyo right now, so that's quite something.
Have fun, Clifflix.
And by the way, welcome to November. We're not there yet, but we'll join you in just a minute. Thank you so much, Clifflix. Awesome stuff. Got to have you on the channel, by the way. I say that every time. We got to have it. Jay with $5. Thank you so much. Wouldn't a Club 33 member use that access to ask for help if they were sick?
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? And wouldn't they, if they knew about something called, what's it, a vestibular something? Wouldn't they
Migraine?
know not to drink so much wine and would give them one of those?
The plot thickens. Do we actually believe their story?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to say no on that.
No.
And that jury didn't either. That jury said, I thought I was going to get to go on jury duty and have a good, juicy rape or murder or something. I got this case? Give me a break.
I got Disney adults? Dang.
Well, it's been 45 minutes. I guess we've had all the coffee and cookies we're going to get. Let's get out of here.
I guess so. Oh, man. Very, very interesting.
See, they
I heard
demanded the evidence. They should have demanded that Club 33 delivered to the jury room. They could have milked this a couple of days. Or better
Or
yet,
they
really
do
got
that thing where it's
passes.
like, we have to go into the field and see the crime scene. Take us to Club 33. We must enjoy it.
I can almost promise you that this whole incident that they're citing as the inciting incident for them being like, oh, it wasn't the first time they were breaking rules. I don't think
it was
so.
called, we want these people out of here. Other members
Here's
are
the excuse.
complaining about them. So anything you see, let's do it.
Indeed.
Think about this. Think about this. The guy whose wife died at the Irish restaurant, they backed off and settled and made a deal. These people know. How much must they hate these people?
That's a good point. That's a good point right there. Might be quite a bit right here. Well, things that we don't hate though are new theme park experiences coming in 2025. Lou, we weren't able to enjoy this with you the first time, so I'm bringing it on back here with Bob Spencer and Nolan. Well, it's Halloween. It is no better time to talk about Dark Universe coming to Epic Universe. Oh, this is so good. We're going to go ahead and play the video because it's just that good.
I am Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. Together, we will finish what my great-grandfather started. Show them.
Monsters Unchained has the most technologically advanced animated figures that have ever been built in the attraction.
These are monsters for the next generation of fans. We wanted to make sure that we kept everything that was familiar, kept everything that was the essence of these monsters. But we wanted to take it to another level. These monsters are scary.
These monsters are scary. So this is for Dark Universe's premier attraction that will be as part of that land within Epic Universe, available day one when the park actually opens. What is it? What's the exact date? Is it May 22nd?
22nd, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And just to get a sense of this, I was watching Alicia's preview of a lot of great construction things, but she talked about this, and they talked about, what was it, 14 animatronics like this? But she said there's one more, which is a second Frankenstein's monster that is part of the pre-show that weighs 800 pounds.
Wow.
800 pounds. I believe over 9 feet tall as well.
Yeah.
These are huge figures.
So just...
I think that Frankenstein is actually going to be walking towards you in the pre-show right there.
Yes.
So
Ben
cool.
Franklin did that in...
So cool.
This generation of fans, we wanted to make sure that we kept everything that was familiar, kept everything that was the essence of these monsters. But we wanted to take it to another level. These monsters are scary.
These animated figures are moving faster than any figures we have built, and we have so many of them. We have 14 animated figures across this ride floor.
And they are visceral, they are powerful, they are intense, and from a technical standpoint, they exceed beyond everyone's wildest expectations for what an animated figure can do.
That looks so awesome.
So cool right there.
Knocking Disney out of the park.
You can probably see the expression in my face right now. I'm on cloud 9. I'm shocked right now. This is amazing.
These are really, really cool figures. They move super smooth, a lot of actuation points there. You can actually see the level of movement.
And by the way, when you talk about movement, consider texture for a minute.
Yeah.
Consider the fact that these things, you're going to be with a lot of people in a moving vehicle going by really fast. You'll never catch the detail of like that in one viewing, but they built it that well because that's what they do, as opposed to those, oh, is that a projection face or a real face on Tiana and stuff that Disney has done lately?
I feel like the extra amount of detail is just going to hold up so good over time. Like Creature from the Black Lagoon one, like that one is one of the best animatronics I've ever seen. That you just see the darks and the scale, the little nitty-gritty details. I don't know how long this thing took to build, but I hope we're going to see this for decades and decades to come.
Oh, sure we are.
By the way, why doesn't the Wolfman, the new movie, look like this Wolfman? Wow, this looks cool.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I know.
Why does everything here look better than everything they tried to do with the Dark Universe, with all the reboots and stuff like that?
Yes,
People work on this, clearly get the magic of these old movies, and this
Well,
is
I'll
going
tell you.
to. Go ahead.
You know what else? We've seen that in the staging yard behind the scenes, waiting to be put somewhere, are the models of the classic four: Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, and I forget which of the fourth, that were on that restaurant that they had at the studio park, which was kind of a test bed for, do people care about these old monsters anymore? They're going to be reinstalled someplace here. And think about the level behind levels that gives you. It gives you people, quote unquote, real people living in this village have seen the real monsters prowling around and have made their own homages to them for their pizza joint. You know, I mean, that's the level at which these things operated at multiple levels of culture. Anyway, I think it beats Walt's Magic Lantern.
And the thing is, like, Disney can't even. Disney can't compete with this even if they took it seriously and tried, because we know with their image, of course, you know, Bob Iger will do about anything he can to get some money these days. But we know, at least from the past, like they had to get rid of extraterrestrial encounter because it was too scary for the young kids. Universal doesn't have that hurdle.
But that's why, if you're Disney, they keep talking about a villain's land. And the pictures are those ones that I call the Bloomin' Onion pictures of it that they've put up as artist renditions. That's wrong. If you're going to do a Disney villains, it should be funny. It should be what the Disney villains are, which is, okay, they're the bad guy. They're the source of the conflict in the story. They're Ursula. They're Captain Hook. But they goof, you know?
Agreed.
The old theme parks, everything goes wrong. That's Disney. Go for it. Don't try and imitate this, but they will.
They'll never be able to out-scary them. It's just in the blood and
Yeah.
nature. They need to
100%.
take their disadvantages and run with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Disney villains are scary only to the degree that they provide danger for the heroes to overcome.
That's true.
Well said.
That's
Look
true.
at Fantasmic, for God's sake.
Bring back the Club 33 couple and have the husband on the bench for your Halloween celebration. That's scary. You don't know what he's going to do.
That's hilarious.
I want to go back into Club 33.
Careful, kids.
Just
This
over
could be
and
your
over
future
again.
if you pixie dust too much.
Oh, yeah.
That's super funny. No, I mean, look, you have the animatronic figures that are part of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I've always thought, and some of them are, you know, not as let's say actuated as others. I've always thought they moved just, you know, they're moving for the sake of movement. They're not really consistent with those characters or how they would actually move. They're just kind of moving just to move and show the range of motion. Whereas
now that's a good point, Vash. There's something in I think it was in Alicia's video too. When you see the movements that these monsters are making, they wrote the script first, thank you. And those movements, as wonderful and fluid as they are story specific to something they do in this show that was scripted first, and now we got to make it work. as opposed to, well, they smile and they giggle and they walk around, and then we can put a soundtrack on it in Tiana.
Are you saying story's important?
Huh?
I would say
I was joking.
so.
I said, are you saying story's important? Wow.
That's the
Joking.
last time I looked around, it was, yeah. And it
Well, I agree.
inspires the technology, as opposed to, well, if we spend this much, we can make the technology do that much. What do you got for a story for one that'll do that?
Indeed. Clifflix actually mentions it in the chat right here. I want to put up his super chat because I think it is actually relevant to this conversation. Because we've seen complex audio-animatronics implemented in attractions before, and well, as you can see on screen right now, it hasn't always worked out.
I think when you're going to do one of these things, you set a bottom line basic level at which it has to perform. I don't think Disney ever sets it as anymore. And it's got to run every day from opening to closing and work. I don't think Universal would begin without having that be the baseline. I don't think if during the process of this, they came to the bosses and said, you see that great Frankenstein? You know that movie he makes with his left hand? We can't do it fast enough and have it be reliable, so we have to slow it down. They would say, no, make it work. It's what you demand, you get. What level of quality you get. Disney lately is willing to settle. And that's a shame.
It's so sad because they weren't always like this, but now we're talking about potentially getting rid of Stuntronics and, audio-animatronics breaking down and so forth so regularly. I want to go ahead and get Clifflix's comment in here just for the viewers that are exclusively listening with the $5. Thank you so much. With these universal animatronics being so complex, how would that affect daily reliability? Could this not bode well for a high shutdown ride? I think performance is going to be key here. I will say that the animatronics featured on something like Harry Potter, for instance, which we know the Forbidden Journey, that is, we know that's going to be very similar to that attraction. Those actually work pretty consistently. Same with Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. Very rarely do we see those animatronic figures not actually work or perform like they should be as part of those attractions. So whatever the formula that they have for setting up animatronic figures in attractions has actually been pretty consistent before in Universal's history. I don't think anything will change now. I think they're really thinking this one through. We'll have to see what the reliability is on something like this, but I am very optimistic.
Yeah. How the hell, as we've heard from culture, how the hell could Disney say, well, we're going to redo the ride and we're going to do wonderful new animatronics and we're not going to solve the problems we had with the old ones because of the mold and the moisture in the building because it's Florida? How could you do that? The only way is, well, but if we really want to fix that, we got to tear it all down and build it over again, right? For the atmosphere, for the environment. At which point they say, no, that's too expensive. And the whole idea we got for retheming this in the first place, as opposed to giving Tiana her own ride from scratch, was that it would be cheaper because we already had the building. So, where do you start from? Do you start from the story and the audience and something that's going to be pleasing them for the next 50 years? Or do you start from you can do it if it'll cost X or less?
Now, on the topic, I want to know when May 22nd rolls around and, all these cool animatronics are going off in Dark Universe. As people are on the first ride, I want to know how many times in that time period, those few minutes, that Tiana's Bayou Adventure broke down on both parks. Like,
you'll
be an interesting statistic. Someone keep track, please.
Maybe we will actually do that. Well, actually, interestingly enough, the mum with 499. Thank you so much, the mum. Very much appreciate it. I've been sitting here for an hour now wondering what to send in for a super chat. 90% of the Disney news just saddens me, but Clifflick's fun, and today's news is uplifting. We're trying to be uplifting as much as we can. We do have some, we do have stories that cover the gambit here, so hopefully we can uplift your day with one of them. Hopefully that Club 33 story. That was a little bit fun.
And remember,
You uplift.
remember that our point in showing you what's being done by people who know how and commit to it and are willing to spend the money. And look, they're not. Universal is Comcast is not a charity. I guarantee you, they're doing this because they think it makes the bottom line work. It's just a matter of understanding what works and what doesn't. The classic example to me in recent years has been Tron. They said, oops, there's a pandemic. Let's slow it down and stop it for 2 years because we got nobody to put through the ride anyway. What's the point? Never thinking, and 2 years from now, everything is going to cost 3 times as much.
Yeah.
Wrong. Better to have it all fixed, finished, ready, refined, tested, and sitting there waiting. Unless you really believe nobody's ever going to come back, in which case, sell it quick and go away.
In the time it took Tron to actually be built, Universal built not one but two, record-breaking coasters over there in Islands of Adventure, right next to each other, in the form of Velocicoaster and High Metro Creature Motorbike Adventure. It's just real sad that the company lacks ambition, even in that regard. And like you said, Lou, I think it did come to bite them as the cost of materials and everything got more expensive. But speaking of building new things and getting them ready for opening, I think that brings us to our next story, also Epic Universe related. Epic Universe demand high ahead of May opening, Comcast says, as domestic theme park attendants to rally by next summer. This by Jill Goldsmith. This was published today because Comcast had their earnings call today in which they talked about Epic Universe to quite a bit extent. Theme parks, both Universal and Disney, have seen a succession of softer quarters following a post-COVID surge, but NBC Universal parent company Comcast sees that turning around by next summer. Lower attendance at domestic parks follow, quote, a pull forward of demand in 2022 and 2023, which were record years for the theme parks, as well as the new attraction pipeline, which is light this year, but set to jump by a second quarter of 2025. Why? Because, Epic Universe is going to be opening. That's when we begin to lap this year and Epic Universe opens, said Comcast President Mike Cavanaugh on a call with analysts after reporting its latest financials. From what I understand, investors were very curious about some of the costs associated with Epic Universe, and they were like, are you going to be able to make those back? Guys, we're talking only a couple $100 million in terms of getting this operational and ready. Trust me, it will make that money back and then some, I assure you. The park will rack up about $150 million in pre-opening costs, split between the current fourth quarter and the first. We are seeing great demand in early days since we announced opening day. He said the media giant is putting together a marketing effort across its properties to increase awareness. This is going to be absolutely huge, I think.
They're splitting the cost between quarters. That's a really smart move. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I think they really had the pedal to the metal. When it came to getting this up and operational, they didn't stop construction, whereas Disney actually did pause construction on a lot of their projects. Universal kind of kept at it. Now they did pause for a little bit there, and I think Brian Roberts, actually, the CEO of Comcast, was actually saying that we shouldn't have slowed down at all because with that post-COVID demand being a thing, but also to setting up a new theme park experience in the social media era, the demand is huge. I know their internals are very, very positive. It's why take a break at all here, because there's kind of a gap between now and opening. They can slow it down just a little bit, but don't expect them to go light in terms of the customer service, on training and all of that. I think it'll be really top notch here. The Universal spent a lot of time surveying guests, what they want, how they want it. I think this is going to be a great showing for them. Bob, you excited?
I am. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Right. And Nolan, you already have your tickets, right?
Yes, I do. Right. You know what? I've been living on the street since last night, but you know what? It's been great. Still
Yeah,
feel like
I'm
it's
not buying my
money
tickets
better
anytime soon.
spent than for Premier Pass. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes, that's
agree
very
with that
true.
one.
Okay, so this is interesting. Do you think, because Spencer, I want to really get your opinion on this because you're I don't want to say a normie, but when it comes to these parks,
oh no, I am 4,000%. I was already called out by who was it in the chat? Somebody in the chat was like, "Does Spencer even go to theme parks?" And I was like, "Not for a long time."
Right.
Silver Stars, that's who it was. Yeah, Silver Stars
Yeah.
was like, "Has Spencer been there?" And I'm like, "Not for a long time. I am an admitted outsider."
Spencer,
what I
that
wanna
wasn't a
do.
theme park. That was a Walmart.
Oh dang, it was the exact same thing. So much Star Wars everywhere.
Wow.
right?
That's
So we
hilarious.
know for the opening of this thing, if you are not annual pass holder and you want to get into Epic Universe, you have to enroll in a 3, 4 day, or 5 day ticket package that includes the other parks on property, but it only includes Epic Universe for 1 day, no matter what level of park tier you actually get under that system. Would you still be inclined to go, Spencer, or does that strategy kind of dissuade you from visiting Epic Universe?
I'm of two minds here. I'm of the average me consumer as a actual person with my actual budget and everything. It would dissuade me simply because at this point, I feel like me and a lot of people can't afford an off the cuff, 3-5 day vacation to go out to Florida and hop around all that. Right. So at least on a personal level, that means I'm out for it. However, I kind of think from an overall business, social, like PR perspective, this is actually not a bad way to go because yes, like you said, like I think, the Angel Pass holders, I think that's right to give them sort of, first come, first serve dibs to getting into the park. But they're also recognizing that there's going to be a lot of demand. A lot of people are going to be there. So you can't just fling the gates wide open on day one. Like that's what Disney does, right? And what happens? Tiana Bayou breaks down every 3 seconds because they never tested it. So I think this is a smart way of sort of funneling in everybody, allowing Epic to test everything. And then I also think it builds hype. I'm sure everybody here has seen the South Park episode where Cartman buys the theme park and he shuts it down and he says, "Only I can ride it. Like only I can be in here." And then everybody goes, "Wait, I want to be in there. I want to go. And it goes from like a failing theme park to the most popular one in the US. Like that's obviously hyperbole, but that's what will come into effect here. Once you start seeing all of the theme park bloggers going out and doing their walkthroughs, once you start seeing more of this stuff, more of the crazy advertising, just the word of mouth, the hype will build to the point where I think people will appreciate that, like, oh, yeah, I can't go right now, but the tickets will open. This is what I imagine, Vash. It's like, oh man, I'm looking at all this stuff. This is awesome. I want to go. Dang, I can't go. Like $300. It's kind of expensive, but guess what? They said right here in 3 months, it's going to go down to $100. All right. Like, let's plan for that. And now you have people getting ready and actually making plans to do that. I think it's pretty smart for what do you call it? Not population flow, attendance flow.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you, Spencer. Again, this is going to be a park that's probably going to allow anywhere between 30,000, 50,000 on a real solid day. And any one day, there's going to be plenty more than 50,000 people in the world who actually want to see this thing, especially near us when it actually opens. So to implement a strategy in which you're kind of limiting park access to the people who really want to visit it via these 3 day, 5 day, ticket packages, I think is a solid idea because you have to mitigate the demand somewhat. And supply demand, usually you increase the price. And this way they're offering the other parks. But also too, it controls the population of their other parks. So not everybody just visits Epic Universe and doesn't visit any of the other parks. Kind of spreads the crowds around that way and so forth. And I think it is a pretty decent strategy. And then when they do become unlocked and they do offer single day tickets, now you get a whole new wave of people looking to enjoy themselves at Epic Universe at a time when, hey, maybe they did have technical issues with this ride. Maybe they don't now. they operationally they get better as time goes on as well, so it extends that time out. Bob,
you also sort of sorry, I know,
no,
sorry,
please.
Barry, didn't mean to cut that off, but you also get the like nowadays when Tiana's Bayou open, you said everybody in, let's go. That's everybody in the park. That's all like 100,000 people going, oh, they said it's open and it's broken. This is bad. But if you have that sort of preview window, it's like, yeah, Frankenstein's Bakery or whatever was down while I was there, but it's, we understand it's sort of still in previews. It was for the early access sort of thing. Like you'll get a little more leeway, I think, from people in that regard. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, no, I think it's a fair point. It is a risk in implementing a strategy like this. You could dissuade, guests from actually, spending time in Epic Universe in which they previously would have. So this is kind of why I ask you, Bob, are you likely to visit in those first ensuing months, or are you going to wait for single day tickets to become available?
I think I'm going to wait. Well, here's the thing. I'm not an annual pass holder for Universal, especially in Florida. I think for phase 1, it really doesn't, behoove anyone that's a pass holder because they've already bought their passes. And then now you want them to spend another $500 for, a 3-day ticket or whatever it is, just so that they can go one day to Epic Universe. My thing, and I've seen a lot of people online who are really upset, and they're posting videos going, I plan on going phase 1. I can't do it. I'm gonna have to wait till phase 2. I'm an annual pass holder. This doesn't make any sense. I think what it would have been better for Universal to do is if they were going to do something like a phase 1, well, right before phase 1, hey, invite those people who are, your annual pass holders. They're the ones, that dedicate themselves to your channel and whatnot. Have the previews that way where they go out and check it out. And then 2 weeks later, they have phase 1. And that way you're, letting the annual pass holders check it out and try it out. Even if they just say, okay, you can only go one day, but we're going to let you go one day and you can go anywhere in this time period between, this week and this week and this week. And then we're going to open up to phase 1. Then they can do their phase 1 where they want to roll it out systematically and then do phase 2, etc. I think that would have been the better plan, but they didn't. And that's kind of a bummer. But at the same time, I understand they do have to do this kind of, slowly rolling out. I mean, otherwise it's just going to be a crazy madhouse. So I totally understand what they're doing and why. I just think they should have shown a little more, favor to the annual pass holders so that they could experience it without having to spend all this extra money. To me, when I see that, it kind of made me think of Disney going, gosh, it's just a cash grab. They're just trying to get extra money. Why are the people who are annual pass holders who already spent money on passes and go to your parks all the time, now you want more money from them? I get it. They're capitalists trying to make money, no problem. But it just, to me, it would have been better. Just like right now, they're testing, Tiana's Bayou adventure over at Disneyland. They're giving everyone an opportunity to try to go to it before they open it up to the public. I just think they should have done that for the annual pass holders over at Universal.
Well, I will say it's tricky, right? Because again, this is a very supply limited park.
Sure.
And, you can only have so many people in per day. Who do you choose? I suppose it does make sense to charge a little bit extra for pass holders to get access to the park. But I do see your point. It would have been nice to have had an official preview window, which wasn't paid for, which you can just enroll in maybe or via lottery system or something like that.
Or I'm okay if they want to, it's a brand new park and they don't have an annual pass for this now. So if they're making annual pass holders buy a ticket to this park for one day, I think that's fine. And I'd be okay with it. I think they would be okay with it because okay, well, I'm an annual pass holder. They don't have passes for this yet. If we want to go and experience it, we do have to buy a 1-day ticket. But to make them buy a 3-day or 5-day ticket and you only get to go 1 day to Epic Universe, no way.
Indeed. I have one more guest I want to go ahead and add on to the panel right now. It is out of sunny Southern California. Hey, here we go. Theme Park Wizard. What is going on, good sir?
Hey, Wizard.
I know you have a lot of opinions.
What's happening,
you have a lot
buddy?
of opinions on this story. I can see this is the great thing. We can actually get Theme Park Wizard on. Previously, we couldn't. Now
I know, because you're on late nights. I like it.
Seems like a smart man. I see the Mario in the background. I know he's intelligent.
Oh, look, we got
a man of culture.
There you go, Mario Kart.
Beautiful.
You see, he's already seen Super Nintendo World.
Oh my gosh, dude, jealous, so jealous.
And wait a second, it lights up. Hold on. Oh, what is it? It lights up somewhere. Just believe me, it lights up somewhere. Oh, and then of course,
Why didn't you take me with you?
Well, he hasn't even taken
the
me.
Universal Tram.
Oh, Jesus, Tram, yeah.
So cool.
Wow.
Oh, I wish I could have seen it.
Amazing, dude.
So
this
good.
one lights
Well,
up. Boom.
Theme
Crushed
Park
it.
Wizard is the Universal guy. He is my number one source when it comes to anything, happening at Universal, and that kind of goes by Coastal as well. Look, I understand Alicia Stella, I get it, but I think Theme Park Wizard, I think he's just one notch above right there. Wizard, are you supportive of the idea of this theme park strategy, this opening strategy of these tickets and so forth? Are you bullish as maybe Kavanaugh is for Comcast? What do you think?
I am, because I know more ticket options are coming. Also, I know if they didn't do this, you'd have to get a reservation. So, pick your poison, I guess. So you have to get the also, they want to obstruct cannibalization. So it's in their best interest, and I feel like later on in a few months you'll be able to get some single day ticket options coming, and there'll be so many available. I'm sure it'll work out for everybody, especially because the Harry Potter ride might not be open. So by the time that ride's open, single day tickets will be available. Everyone will be happy. I think it's gonna work out quite nicely. Also, I don't think it will be crowded, but I feel like this will help stem the high demand that they
There we go
on their earnings call.
Someone's on my side.
No, I do agree.
No,
with that.
I'm teasing that.
Well, no, it is a thing, right? I know a lot of people don't like to be, have to enroll in like a 3-day ticket package just to get 1 day at Epic Universe, or have to buy an extra ticket even if you already know pass holder. I get all that kind of stuff, but remember, this demand is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen before. We've never had a theme park from the big two open in the social media era. I think this is going to be a big deal, and I think Universal is trying to cover its bases in that regard. Clifflix with the $5 right here has Universal finally created their very own Disney bubble, a place where you plant your hotel-based flag and only go Disney on your, quote, extra days. I think that is exactly what they are doing with their strategies. Having the Helios Grand, for example, be as affordable as it is. I mean, what, sub $500 on the first day that Epic Universe is actually open? Crazy value associated with that. But they definitely want you to make that your home resort. They're talking about 7 days of fun there at Universal Orlando. I think this is absolutely the start of their own bubble. And we know that they have transportation options available from MCO to get you from the airport to the resort and stuff like that. They're attacking that money. They're basically implementing a lot of what Disney did in the 90s in order to get you to visit Disney property and get you to stay there. I think it's a good strategy that Universal is employing right there. So that's definitely number one there. The Mum with the 199. Hail the 199. I'm with Spencer. It's a 5-day trip to anyone not in Florida.
Yay!
Yeah. Trying to collect on that, and I think it's a decent strategy. So there you go. Let's see here. I want to go ahead and get to our next story, and I know for you, Spencer, I want to go ahead and bring this one forward to you because I think this is a very interesting story. Because you see, everybody at home, you might have thought that Quantumania was a complete box office failure, that it didn't make any money, but in fact, it did actually make a profit. Isn't it crazy? Well, at least when you look at least some of the numbers associated with this specific production. This out of Caroline Reed from Forbes, how Marvel's latest Ant-Man movie lost millions in theaters, but still made a profit. We'll go into how much it actually made here in just a second, because I think it's pretty funny. The movie industry is famous for what is known as Hollywood accounting. In simple terms, this involves studios using accounting methods to obscure the budgets and profits of blockbuster movies. For decades, it has been suggested that this is the driving force behind Tinseltown, but recent disclosures have shown that in some cases, it is actually nothing more than Hollywood legend. Perhaps the best evidence of this is Disney's Marvel Studios movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The superhero flick debuted in February last year to a lukewarm reception, only grossing $476 million at the box office, according to industry analyst Box Office Mojo. Studios typically receive around 50% of the takings, meaning that Disney got around $238.05 million, which was $92.05 million less than its net spending on making the movie, as we recently revealed. The cost of the movie isn't speculation or an estimate, but in fact, it comes from Disney's own filings. It's not the kind of disclosure a studio would make if it was trying to hide or disguise its spending. She goes on to say that I believe it's in order to receive UK tax filing tax credits, they had to disclose a lot of information that they wouldn't normally would, and that's how we know how much the movie actually cost to make, and how much they received as part of that tax credit from that UK incentive package that they had. Which, by the way, apparently Gavin Newsom wants to go ahead and implement some incentives to get studios to come back to Southern California and invest in that Hollywood enterprise as well. That's very interesting. But you can actually see right there the net profit, $88,000. Boys, we're in the black. How about that, huh? You all thought Quantumania lost hundreds of millions of dollars? I say to you, $88,000.
Oh, they got Bob's parking pass paid for the next year. It's so great. Happened.
Well, it's the water bills associated with the shower.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This is okay. There's one big omission here, okay, with all this Hollywood accounting that you actually see before you, and that is marketing costs. Marketing advertising is not included in these figures, as it's handled by a completely separate division within the Walt Disney Company as part of the distribution arm or Buena Vista Distribution. And we anticipate those are going to be anywhere between $100 to $150 million, especially because this was one of the first Marvel films to actually bomb. Any investment made on that end usually was paid off. So yes, in terms of the actual finances associated with this specific production, maybe you could say that they, came out $88,000 ahead. But when you look at all the other costs associated with this film, they're still in the red, folks, believe me. But I thought this was a very interesting story to actually bring up, because you would have never thought that it would have seen a profit anywhere, but apparently it might have. Spencer, do you have any speculation as to these not only these numbers are genuine, which I do believe they are, but in terms of maybe some other ancillary revenues or maybe some losses that aren't reflected here?
Yeah. So I think that what we're seeing here is just another Disney media manipulation game, right? A narrative manipulation game, because I'm with you, Vash. I think that what we're looking at right here are the real numbers, but they are just showing, at least in my opinion, I think this is just for the movie, like you said. So this doesn't account for things like the production of the book, right? Because they made that like an actual physical copy of Scott Lang's biography, or all the unsold Funko Pops, or all that stuff. So what I'm seeing here is just a desperation move by Disney to just get that headline out there, right? Because if people see that headline, they're going to walk away with, okay, look at that. I guess they did okay. The narrative's gone. Most people will. But then you click it, and it's like the jokes we all just made. It's barely a water bill. It's barely a parking pass. It's, yes, by technical legal definition, you made a profit, but nobody is going to really consider that a profit, right?
Like Superman Returns. It's just a box office return, basically. We all waste our time.
Exactly.
Now, I know we have somebody coming on the panel right here who has all kinds of opinions about this story, I'm sure. Lou, you've heard of this Hollywood accounting, right? What do you think? 88,000? Pretty good, right?
There's so much wrong with this. First of all, understand something. The purpose of these tax credits is to generate domestic employment. Therefore, the only thing they apply to is people working in the UK, people buying stuff in the UK, people providing services or renting dollies or whatever in the UK. It doesn't count the stars who are getting paid in Burbank. It doesn't count the executives. It doesn't count their secretaries, their transportation. So there's a lot more expense involved in this movie than just the tax stuff.
I didn't even
okay?
think about that. Yeah, Lou.
So right away, that blows all of these out of the park. Secondly, that rule of thumb about the studio getting about 50%, well, that's not true either. And the reason it's not true is that's net over the course of a long run of the movie. The way the movie deals are set up is that the studio gets the lion's share in the first few weeks, and then the scale changes between the studios and the theaters as the run goes on. But these movies that never last long enough to do that, you see what I mean? So all of that is just nobody knows is the answer. It's too bad your SEC people can't get into the books domestically. Then you'd know. But otherwise, it's only a guidepost. It's only a hint as to what the actual numbers are. Okay?
Hey, Trey.
And by the way, when you talked about Gavin Newsom, we already have the California tax credit for several years. What they did was double or triple it. They took it from 25 million to 75 or something like that. So all the states are competing with each other. All the states that have these credits, and lots of them do, think that it's going to help their employment domestically within their state for people to make movies there, just like the credits they give to build stadia, to bring a pro or whatever football team or basketball team to a town.
Right.
Every single one of these that's ever been looked at by competent people doing the numbers, they've never made a profit for the state. They've never made more for the state in employment and therefore domestic taxes on those people getting employed than they cost them in giving them away. None of them. Not one. So it's because it's Hollywood. It's ego and it's playing games, but it's not real money.
I'm looking at these costs right here, by the way. $388 million. How do you spend $388 million on a film when a lot of it was shot on the volume? You don't even have physical sets in a lot of these cases. The spending has to get controlled. Bob, you were going to say something?
Yeah, actually, I had a hard go at 4 o'clock, and it's 4:09, so I got to get going. So
no problem at all.
I hate to say goodbye, everyone, but yes, Nolan.
Oh, I was just saying bye. I was waving.
Oh,
I was like, but you know what? Little Zone, she'll send you off. She just wants.
What a cute cat.
Black
you know
cat, so
what?
it's fitting for this time of year.
I have a black cat too. She's a kitten too, and it's awesome. So
I have a black and a white one. She's in the room.
very cool.
I know I like you people.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Congratulations,
Bob.
on 3,000 subs. That's amazing, and I'm just happy for you and everyone on this channel. And obviously, I didn't want to have to take off, but it is Halloween. I got to pick up my daughter from school, and we got to go to training. And if you guys haven't seen it, I actually decorated my house, and I do every year, and I enter the local city contest. And I didn't win this year, but it's always a lot of fun. I usually do like a haunted mansion type theme with a few other things in my front yard. So if you haven't seen it, you can go to my webpage there, or sorry, YouTube page, and you can find it under lives. I just did a live stream last week where you can see my Halloween decorations. So check them out. And I will be streaming. What are you laughing at?
I thought you were about to say, if you want, you could check out my front yard. I'm like, you shouldn't be inviting people to your front yard, bro.
Never mind the yard. What are you giving away for Halloween? I want to know if the candy's worth going.
Go ahead and give your address there,
We're
Bob.
full-size candy bars, right, man?
So, well, I do have some full-size.
I'll take them.
Sour
Those are
punches.
for us.
Man.
Yeah.
Good man right here.
See?
Everybody go to Bob's house.
I got a lot of Oogie Boogie Bash candy I'm giving away, too. That's not expired, all right? All right. Seriously, by the way, we went last week for my daughter's birthday. We walked out with over 12 pounds of candy. That's
oh, wow.
Got your money back right there. I like it.
That's a candy for tonight in the neighborhood. But yes, you can go ahead and check out
the
my
expiration
front yard.
date?
I did. I just said that. I'm not passing out expired candy. or
no, I mean on the stuff they gave you. Didn't we?
Oh yeah, we checked it. We checked it. We're good.
Okay.
So, but I will be streaming again, hopefully on Sunday, and then definitely on Monday with
Yes,
Park
Sunday.
hang out. So definitely come check us out. And then I'll be back at Disneyland again next week on Wednesday. So I'll be streaming quite a bit. So for those of you who've been following me from this channel, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I love seeing you guys in the chat. And I hope you guys have a great Halloween. And congratulations again on 3,000 subs there. That's amazing.
Congratulations on year 4,000, Bob. Thank you so much for joining us. Scary Place 28 is where you can find them right now. Links in the chat right there. Thank you so much for joining and the dedication of time. I know it's, your time's limited, so thank you for spending it with us.
You're welcome.
Have fun tonight.
Oh, good night, everyone. Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Now, Wizard, I believe you were going to say something about that previous story right there. What were you going to say?
Oh no, I was gonna ask if you guys, because I noticed Club 33 is in title. Did you talk about Club 33 yet? Because I have a question Club 33 story.
We did. Well, please, if you have a story,
go for it anyway. We love Club 33.
Bring it up.
Pause. I unfortunately also have to provide Bob's coattails and get out of here.
I see. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and give you this end off. Sorry, Wizard. We're gonna have to hold that story here.
Sorry, Wizard.
Everybody stay on because Wizard's going to deliver the goods right here in just a second.
So
Spencer, where can the people find you?
Yeah, of course. You know what? I'm not going to make it about me. I'll say go check out boundingintocomics.com and subscribe here. If you're here, you better already be subscribed. Hit all those buttons. They've got 3,000. They deserve a bazillion and 4. So let's get them there. Am I right? Am I right? Let's do this.
I agree. Thank you so much, Spencer. I know your time is very limited. Thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, I will see you all next time, and I will probably be in the chat in a second, so I will see you all soon.
You got it. We'll see you then.
In a few minutes.
Thank you, sir. Now, Wizard, your Club 33 story.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Now, I don't have Club 33. I'm not rich, but I know Club 33 is very expensive. And, I went to the Tiana preview over the weekend with a group of people, and one of them was a Club 33 member. And surprisingly, he couldn't get on my virtual queue, even though Club 33 thing says magic key benefits or whatever, right? And he couldn't get on. So we called them. We went to guest relations and we called them. And the Club 33 people said that for the Club 33 members to experience the Tiana magic key previews, they have to spend an extra $600. And I was shocked.
What?
I was like, wait a second. They're saying $30,000 or whatever a year. And to go to Tiana previews, I imagine they can just walk on, not even need a virtual queue. But no, they have to. It's a separate pool of people or whatever, so they have to spend an extra $600 if the Club 33 people want to experience Tiana's Bayou adventure during the preview period. I was mind blown. I was like, "Whoa!" I had to share
That's
that.
insane.
I know a couple in Arizona who do it.
I feel like every week, we're always talking about how we're always like, man, Disney takes so much advantage of the middle class and all that, with these prices for their insanely high priced cakes or, their fast lane tickets and all that. We're like, dang, how would they treat the rich? Well, evidently they treat them the same. They're trying to get every dollar they can out of them.
But Nolan, the question I have is, why is it 600? Who picks that number? Why isn't it 800? Why isn't it 400? Why isn't it $735.57? I mean, they just throw a bunch of Yahtzee dice into the air when they come down. Whatever the number says, that's it.
666.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, that's really interesting. Did you eventually get the problem resolved?
Wasn't a problem.
Oh no! So we
Only
just
problem
snuck,
if
we
you didn't
just
wanna
snuck
pay
him
it.
in.
You snuck him in. I see. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. And I think I know what the result was on that.
We did the virtual queue thing. Yeah, we just the virtual queue was like 5 of us, so he just went first, and then we just kind of all followed, and they didn't really scan.
I think
so. It was cool.
You know what I'd do if I were them? I'd write the check with invisible ink and tell them it was a virtual payment for a virtual queue. That's what I'd do.
That's
you
smart.
can take your virtuality a little too far there, Mr. Disney. All right. Well,
great.
anyway.
Okay. Well.
So if those of you listening to our previous story about Club 33 were saying, God, is there no limit to where they'll go? Answer, no. Haven't found it yet.
Oh man, Disney. Oh, Disney. What are you doing? Why are you making these decisions? Why are you making me play
And
you?
the ride breaks down. Do they give you the money back, or do they say come back in 2 days? In 2 days, I'm in China. What do you want? I got a business to run.
I do like how they don't discriminate when it comes to nickel and diming. They just, they'll nickel and dime you no matter who you are. And so in that way,
if that price is a nickel or a dime to you, I'm suddenly more impressed than I have been with you.
Okay, fair enough.
And next time you buy the goddamn pizza.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
No, not a nickel and dime for me. It's all relative, Lou. It's all relative.
Well, I always quote Everett Dirksen. Theme park. You're too young to remember Everett Dirksen, who was a senator from Illinois in the 60s. But he was talking about the federal budget. And he said, well, $1 billion here and $1 billion there. And before you know it, you're talking about real money. So
we quoted you this morning on that. That's fantastic.
Yeah?
Well, speaking of investment, speaking of things that the company is going to spend money on, here we go right now. Blog Mickey new permit reveals plans for DinoLand USA demolition and final layout of Tropical America's Land at Animal Kingdom. This by Mike from Blog Mickey right here. A newly filed permit from Walt Disney World outlines the plans for the demolition of the DinoLand USA section of Disney's Animal Kingdom, and the final layout for the Tropical America's Land plan to replace it. Some people actually call this the Topical America's Land. We'll get into that in a moment. As a reminder, the new Tropical America's Land will feature an all-new Encanto-themed ride, an all-new carousel featuring popular Disney characters, and a re-themed dinosaur attraction into the Indiana Jones themed ride. In total, the permit covers about 12.87 acres in the DinoLand USA area, including current backstage areas. The reason I'm bringing this up, and you can kind of see what these plans are actually like. DSNY actually has a pretty nice, legible, viewer-friendly version of this, where you can actually make out distinct items and so forth located on this map here. The question I pose to you guys is, they're calling this an expansion. They're calling this, this big new thing here. Is this really an expansion, though, when we look at the attendance numbers and the capacity for this section of the park? Because remember, Encanto, yes, we're getting Encanto. Great. But, we did have Triceratops Spin, we did have Primeval World, we did have all those Midway games, and we had the Boneyard, and now we just have those attractions being reduced down to 3 instead of, the 6 or so, or the 5 or so that used to exist in this area. My question to you is this an expansion? Is this better than what was before? What are you guys' takes on all of this? Tropical Americas.
It's more than an overlay, but less than an expansion.
That's true.
And it's not about the acres. I think with getting rid of the Boneyard and the Midway stuff, it is definitely a tilt towards older children and adults away from people with little kids, which is not necessarily a good thing. I mean, other than the carousel.
Well, that's the thing. Where in the Animal Kingdom, if you do have little kids, where can you actually go without this section of the park?
Home.
Wizard, that was fast. That was pretty good right there. I like that. That was pretty good. Look, I am encouraged by the Encanto Dark Ride. They're actually spending some money and actually, creating a new attraction, brand new infrastructure, all of that. And it's in a park that really requires dark ride attractions at this point. There's not a ton of dark rides in Animal Kingdom, so it's always great to see something like this actually come out, like what you're seeing on screen right here. I guess my question though is 2 things. One, where are the little kids going to go? What adventures or experiences do we have for them specifically outside of maybe this carousel? Which, a carousel is a carousel at the end of the day. And then 2, is this really a capacity increase? I'm not really sure it is.
I don't know either. Yeah, well, it's interesting here. Oh, I say it's interesting because look, I'm gonna go back to the playground because not many people on Twitter have mentioned Disney's lack of playgrounds. So, for example, at Epic University, you have the massive How to Train Your Dragon playground and stuff, right? And Disney's taking away the playgrounds, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm not sure why they're taking away the playgrounds, but the thing about it with the new Lightning Lane Premier Pass, right? Playground is not monetizable, so maybe there's just no incentive to keep the playgrounds, only build things that are monetizable so you get those Lightning Lane Premier Passes sold. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the carousel had a Lightning Lane Premier Pass.
And by the way, it goes further than the How to Train Your Dragon. They just redid the one at the studio, right? The DreamWorks one.
Expanded it.
And gosh, even with all of that, Boneyard was pretty special because it got kids actually doing stuff that in theory could inspire them to, I don't know, a career in science or archaeology or whatever, in a way that watching Indy as an archaeologist never could. So I don't know. But
and also it promotes, exercise. Exercise is good for kids to run around.
True.
Let the kids, the parents relax too.
The way they've described this carousel, it seems very much to me inspired by the Celestial Park carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
The IP carousel.
And
apparently they're going to have. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I say it's interesting because with the playgrounds, because the Animal Kingdom's so big, right? You think they can put in another, even if it's a differently themed playground somewhere, because I think here in Hollywood, Universal Hollywood, anyone who's been Vash, it's a very tiny park, but they have a playground. They have the Dino playground next to Jurassic World. So if this little 40-acre park can have a playground, I'm sure Disney can figure out a nice, highly themed playground somewhere else in the land. Yeah.
Well, and of course, in LA, in Orange County, in Toontown, there was playground stuff.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, you might consider all of that interactive stuff in the Nintendo part of Epic Universe to be a kind of a playground too, because you're running all over the place and getting points and slapping the band against the button and whatever. And, we'll see how it works, but that's
it already works from what I understand to a great extent at Universal Studios Hollywood right now.
Right.
Yeah, I see tons of kids running around, just like you said, Lou, with the band, taking pictures and going from block to block all day. They're just running around getting exercise.
And that means they're in the park longer, which means they have more opportunities to eat and buy merchandise and stay longer. Which, I've always thought, just wandering around Universal Hollywood in mid to late afternoon, it kind of clears out, except on the nights when there's really something big going on at night. And it's the same reason that everything in LA clears out in mid-afternoon. People want to get back on the damn freeway before it goes crazy to get home. That's the whole look. The Dodgers just won the World Series, but I bet you people left in the 7th inning. Like they always have.
That's an interesting point right there. I'll say this: the interactive elements that are part of Super Nintendo World, for example, right? To Wizard's earlier point, those are directly monetizable in a really creative fashion, right? You have to kind of buy a band to actually get in, but once you enroll, you're solid and you're going through. Disney could have easily implemented any number of things, not even just limited to Tropical Americas, but they could have implemented stuff on
the new Harry Potter part of Epic is going to have all these window displays that you can activate with your wand.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, well, knowing Disney, they'll just say, go open your Play app, and here's your go play there.
Yeah, get up at 7 a.m. and be sure you're the 10th person. And after you do all that and pay us an extra $50, the ride will be broken anyway, so don't worry.
Oh, man, that's so true. Oh,
and you're not, by the way, for all these interactive things like Nintendo and Harry Potter and whatever, you're not standing in line waiting to do it, except for the 3 kids in front of you while you're waiting for them to do it and learning how to play the game by watching other people succeed or fail. You're not saying, well, it says there the waiting time for this ride is 35 minutes. So basically, I'm dedicating 35 minutes to the queue of my limited time in the day, especially if I'm not local and don't go often. So I don't know. I don't know.
There you go.
And at the rate they build rides and the rate they take to get them to work, how many years after the premiere did Tiana open of the movie?
Oh,
6, 7, 8, 12?
No, it was 15.
Tiana opened
right?
in 2009. Yeah, 2009. So
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And Moana, the most successful princess they've got, finally got what? A splash pad after 15 years or whatever it is?
That's an interesting idea. Remember the first version of this land that we saw was Moana themed in part.
Yeah.
Why do you think they didn't go that direction? Do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know. I was
Because
sad
once
they
they
didn't
did
because Disney, they can use some water rides over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
in fact, that Moana Journey of Water should have been put over here. If that was all you were going to do with her, it should have been.
Exactly. That's a fair point.
Because that park is the hottest damn jungle that ever.
It's so hot.
Again, I'll say it again and again. Disneyland Resort, right? You have 2 water rides, and I think Disney World has 2 water rides. Yeah, they have a rapids and Tiana's, and we have a rapid, but they have double the amount of parks. It makes no sense to me. It's so much hotter over there.
Yeah, well, I unless you count the splash at the end of the Matterhorn, or but not really.
Yeah, I was like, so confusing. Like that would have been a log flume would have been perfect over Animal Kingdom.
And yet we are getting
and
an
yet they're
indoor
making...
dark ride, which we are hearing.
Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
Isn't France getting a Lion King flume ride?
Yes.
Yes.
So there you go.
We are hearing that this is going to be an Omnimover attraction. So that's going to be interesting to see how they actually do with that. Obviously, it's a ride system that's tried and true. So hopefully, no Tiana breakdowns here. Well, you never know. So fingers crossed on that one. And yes, the carousel will feature, I guess, carvings of animals from various Disney IP, all kind of combined for that specific attraction right there. And we did also hear from some internal sources, let's say, that the note from Josh Dumaro coming out of this was the facades can't look like they just were painted over. They had to look more substantial than that. That's interesting because that note wouldn't have come unless the initial plans for this maybe did include facades that looked like they were just painted
they
over.
Still could. They just shouldn't look that way, is what he's saying.
Yes.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
If he'd have meant no painted over facades, he would have said it. What he said was, "We'll do it, but we won't make it look." It would be as if Universal had said, "Well, yeah, there's screens all through this epic stuff, but they're really, really good, honest." Not the same thing as no screens.
That's an interesting thing there. I always found that note to be of particular importance because if you're giving a note like that, to me it says that either obviously they haven't been afforded the budget that I believe Imagineering would otherwise want, and they haven't been given a budget to the point where maybe things that look like they were just painted over are more apparent, and maybe that's a level of frustration there with the Imagineering team working on this project. We'll have to see what actually happens with this. We do have a permit and some timelines here. Attraction set to open by the end of 2027, at least for the Encanto themed attraction there. So we can assume that maybe a grand opening for this land 2028, 2027. We'll have to see on that. I think that's a little bit ambitious for Disney, but hey, you know what? I'd love to be proven wrong. Hey, apparently all these things were shovel ready. Let's see how fast they can work.
Actually moving dirt.
they're actually moving dirt. That is correct.
They do that at Forest Lawn too, by the way. So moving dirt is not always a good thing.
That's true. That's very true. Let's see here. I'm just trying to find our next story.
And by the
right
way,
now.
before we go away from that,
Yes.
I want you to imagine when we're wondering why are things so limited lately and why are they so faulty. If you are an Imagineer now, and you really are dedicated to doing some great stuff, and you have the initial, they say, okay, come up with something for Encanto or whatever. And everybody gets together in a room and they kick ideas around, right? That's where these things start. Unless it's adapting something they've done with a different theme, and they do that a lot, we know. But how many times does the spark of inspiration of the Dreamfinder get told, yeah, but they'll never pay for that. Don't take that one any further. How many great potential attractions die stillborn because they know if they present them, they're going to be shot down for money?
That's a very, very good point. We know that for the projects that even get approved, they're like super value engineered. Wizard, back me up on this. We've seen some value engineered stuff where then that's the world that comes out and it's not even anywhere close to what they initially announced. We have multiple instances of them doing that. So I do believe, Lou. Oh, go ahead.
At Epic, at the Dark Universe and the Epic for the Monsters Unchained, this is from a Twitter comment that Alicia Sella said. She said the budget, they actually gave more money to that attraction to get those impressive animatronics. So
yeah, because they know. Like I was saying, we talked about it earlier, Wiz, and I said, if you just look at the texture in the face of that Wolfman animatronic, you can't see that on your first ride through. You can't begin to appreciate it. You can see enough to say, I got to come back and see this again and look for that. And I got to come back and see this again. I mean, the ride over ability of this place is going to be astounding. And by the way, there's a little method to the madness other than just the general huge demand when it opens of the you get one day there along with your 2 or 3 at the others. That says I got to plan not just another day. I got to plan another trip in 6 months with another hotel stay, with another airplane ride or whatever, just to see that one place. When's the last time that happened? I would venture Epcot.
Yeah,
was the last great opening. And for what it's worth, that's the last time I had this much enthusiasm about an opening of a theme park. So
this will be a seismic gravitational shift in the central Orlando area, which is why Disney is responding in the way they are. They're not spending $60 billion just because they want to. They're, I believe, responding to these seismic changes that will occur in that Central Florida area but you know, that will be precipitated by Epic Universe. Go ahead, Wizard.
But Dr. Dre, Bob Iger said they've been responding since 2010. What are you talking about?
Well, then we should buy him a T-shirt. We should buy him a T-shirt to wear on the day he finally lets it fall from his cold, dead hands.
What if
I waited 10 years for Epic Universe, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Wouldn't it be hilarious?
I got a bridge in San Francisco to sell you, if you believe that story.
Only used by a little old refinisher with a can of red paint and some fiberglass.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to our next story right here. This out of Walt Disney World News Today. It's a crazy story. Disney World cast member changed menus after being fired, including dangerously false allergen info. We've had a couple of allergen-related incidents at Walt Disney World, but never in the parks themselves, or at least not to my knowledge. This by Katie Francis. A former Walt Disney World cast member is being sued for changing menu information after being fired. Some of his alterations included dangerously falsifying allergen information, according to local news station WFTV. The filing, which can be found in whole on Scribd, alleges that Michael Schuer was fired in June of 2024, but continued to have access to the menu update system for 3 months after on personal devices. That's crazy. The lawsuit alleges that he hacked the system in retaliation for his firing. Changes weren't noticed until he changed the front to wingdings, a style that uses symbols instead of letters, this was finally enough to draw attention, though alleged other changes had included profanity. The bigger issue was the changes to allergen warnings, quote, namely the threat actor manipulated the allergen information on menus by adding information to some allergen notifications that indicated certain menu items were safe for individuals with peanut allergies, when in fact they could be deadly to those with peanut allergies. Crazy stuff. Schuer's attorney told NBC News that, quote, the allegations acknowledge that no one was injured or harmed. I look forward to vigorously presenting my client's side of the story. Please.
And I'm not just making a joke. I'm making a point, and I'll explain it. This is the antithesis of Walt's dream. Get it?
I
Get
do.
it is that the little girl who said that and it went out was never edited, never supervised, never checked. The people who couldn't spell the names of the Disney legends that went out wrong were never supervised, never edited, never checked. You can't give any, if you care about the fact that you could kill somebody and you make the point of being, for a long time, famous. My wife happens to be allergic to pork, okay? The Shik's is allergic to pork and married the Jewish guy who doesn't keep kosher. Go figure. Anyway, every time we've gone to the restaurants of Disney World and we've put on the reservation that fact, every single time somebody from the kitchen comes out, talks to you, makes sure that they understand. And then, of course, we had that tragedy with the lady at Raglan. But my point is, if you're going to make that a hallmark of what you do, in general, you should have 3 people checking things before they go out. And in specific, when you're firing somebody with that kind of power and ability, you should be checking. It's just common sense. It's not about Disney. It's not about theme parks. It's not about restaurants. It's about management.
Yeah.
Management stinks.
That's crazy, though. I mean, IT, like, number one, if you fire somebody, like, you're removing their credentials from all of their devices and so forth and all their access points, even before you get them in the room. That's just like bottom line. So the fact that
instead of saying, all right, you're fired as of a week from next Tuesday, meanwhile, keep doing what you're doing. And hey, if you want to poison people, go for it, baby. That's basically, you're inviting them to do that. Oh, but that was irrational. They would never do that. Michael was a wonderful guy, even though it doesn't say anything about why they fired him, does it?
So how bad is your IT or your IT department when you're not putting those safeguards and measures in place in order to prevent stuff like this from actually occurring? This is absolutely an insane story to me because
if they were
like
smart,
you said, Lou,
which they aren't, they would have claimed the same guys that would have put the $23 price on the cake, and it really never was that. Honest, and then set it down to a reasonable number.
Yeah, this guy disgusts me. He's a psycho for even causing anything like this to possibly happen. On the pro show last night, I said how this sounds like the origins of a Batman villain. It's like disgruntled worker starts changing up menu. It's
called
ridiculous.
Whoever hired him made a mistake in the first place.
Absolutely.
Just like people who hire people there and never run background checks on whether they have issues with children.
Exactly.
Or, it's like you should realize you're a target. If
you
I'm
can realize how much of a scum these people are, like when they do things like this. Because instead of doing something actually like funny, like go to Epic Universe on the menu. I mean, we'd all still be talking about for
that
months.
would be funny.
Yeah. But he does these tacky things. It's one of the few times I don't want to ever vouch for someone to sue somebody, but I'm like, it's one of the few times where if I saw Disney do like a lawsuit, I would actually side with them because this literally puts innocent people at risk, children, adults.
But there's a clue. There's a clue in this article. The fact that they're saying it was $5,000 in damage. That's got to be the bare minimum to sue under some very low level law.
Something, yeah.
Because as we know from the Raglan Road episode, if somebody who was allergic to peanuts had died because of this, I think $5,000 would have been the value of the suit.
That's a good point.
But someplace there's a thing that says everything over 5,000 is not small claims; it's a real suit or something, or it qualifies for a certain law. And the fact that, the lawsuit alleges.
It's
Why is it a
interesting
lawsuit? Why isn't it? If the FBI raided him, why isn't he in jail?
Yeah, that.
And if
let's
the
go ahead and
FBI
read-
did it, it's a federal rap.
Let's read on here. The allegations, Schuer's attorney told NBC News that, quote, the allegations acknowledge that no one was injured or harmed. I look forward to vigorously presenting my client's side of the story. And that
Your side of the
Schuer,
story is you're a sick blank.
he says it has a disability and that he believes
Then
was
fine.
impacted by his termination by Disney.
Sue them for wrongful termination as disability.
Well, right.
But
So
that had nothing to do with this. I mean, legally,
that's a crazy defense. That's insane. I think you're essentially playing insanity at that point.
Let's put it this way:
acting on the right side of
everything that we've found to be critical about this company affects their reputation. They used to be the best, the brightest, the most.
That's true,
right? So how can this only be a $5,000 hit on their goodwill and reputation with people who carefully try to avoid things and won't eat places that, if this was Joe's Bar and he did this over peanuts, that's one thing. But this has got to be a multi-million-dollar situation. Just in the number of customers who will say, no, I can't trust them anymore.
It's a fair point. The affidavit details an account from an FBI agent investigating the case. The FBI raided Schuer's residence and seized electronics containing evidence of the misconduct. The lawsuit alleges that Schuer's actions caused damages upward of $5,000. I'm sure there's more than that. I think, Lou, you're right. That might be the minimum.
There's some cutoff for a certain law that says it's got to be at least $5,000 to have standing.
Yeah, it's too clean. Too clean for just $5,000 alone.
Because,
but
these FBI guys, with all due respect to the crooked ones at the top that we've discovered over the last few years, the everyday guys, they're pretty darn good.
Right.
And they have a sense of this whole PR side as well as the purely criminal side of things. I mean, I'll tell you a story. I did a website during the whole Gulf War thing, knocking the French and the Germans for not supporting us as allies, as they should be, because they were busy selling airplane parts to Gaddafi and whatever. And it's the same website. It had both countries mentioned, basically all the jokes, but I had it listed under FranceStinks.com and GermanyStinks.com. Well, from the French, I got nasty emails. How dare you, you silly American. From the Germans, including URLs coming out of Deutsche Bank, I got denial of service attacks and all kinds of nasty stuff.
Oh.
So I went to the FBI because they have a whole cybercrime division for international cybercrime. And I told the FBI guy who was the head of this in LA the story. And he starts laughing. And I said, what are you laughing at? He said, I'm just trying to imagine when I go to my opposite number in France or Germany and tell them I'm dealing with a website called Germany Stinks or France Stinks, how they're going to react. And I did stinks on purpose to keep it kind of clean. I didn't want to say sucks, which is the obvious. Sure. Anyway, they're realists. They understand the real world. And this is not something that they would take anything other than very, very seriously. A lot more seriously than a $5,000 lawsuit, I'll tell you that. Anyway.
Oh, well, we'll have to keep track of that case because I think it's really interesting and that might have
And it's the building that's about to be torn down under the previous story's permits. It was the Tyrannosaurus Cafe.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, you see, the reputation dropped so far they got
T3PO separation. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt the panel, but I got to make a hard stop. I got to be on DinoLand tonight. So
yes, I totally forgot about that. Sorry about that, Nolan.
It's all good. I apologize. I got to bail. Always love being with all of you guys here.
Give our regards to the monster on his night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a panel of class here, and it's always a huge honor to get to spend such amazing time with such amazing people. And I hope everyone has an amazing Halloween tonight.
You too.
Absolutely. I hope you do as well, Nolan. Where can the people find you before you leave?
Okay, so you can find me on my YouTube channel at Nolan Thunder. It's that dude right there on the screen. He makes this weird video game series about old video game mysteries and urban legends and those things you shouldn't believe on the internet. He presents it kind of like a UFO show you see on History Channel with like creepy horror music. Tell this dude to give a life. Like, it's weird, but he's got cool monster props and stuff. And if you're in the Halloween spirit, I recommend checking out either my Lost in the Files episode on Boo Haunt or my Secret in Paper Mario video. They've got a lot of creepy creatures inside of it. So if you like that sort of thing, please check out the channel. It's always a lot of fun to do.
And what about the Lost Guys?
Oh my gosh. We are going to be recording a new episode this Monday here. I don't want to spoil what it is, but I will say about 2 weeks ago, we recorded a new episode on, keep with the video game theme, the Super Mario Brothers anime, which came out about, I believe, less than a year after the original 1985 classic. So if you want to see some very weird things such as Yellow Luigi and something that could only come out of the mind of Japan, please check it out. You can find it on the membership services over on That Park Place, the YouTube channel, and we got a lot of episodes on there. Our Power Rangers episode and McDonald's episodes. Yeah, very weird spectrum of stuff, but stuff you might have forgotten about. I did it with Martin Stone and Hangry Tables, Hangry is also the host of The Genre Guys, an amazing show, which might have one of the amazing panelists here as a contributor on the show.
Well, that's me and Hangry and Lorne, and we take a movie that we think is special and explain to you why. And it goes on as a member perk for the Pro channel, and then in 60 or 90? I always forget, Vash. Days 90. It shows up here for free. And
Absolutely.
And I just saw your recent episode, Lou, on the Falling episode.
Falling Down.
Yes, it was a very good episode. I love your takes on everything. It shows that Joel Schumacher is actually a better director than people really give him credit for.
Yes,
he did
absolutely.
Excellent work on, if you guys have ever seen The Lost Boys. Not to be confused with The Lost Guys. The Lost Boys, completely different. But if you like vampire movies, especially this season, it's a lot of fun. So I have to go at now o'clock. So love you all.
We'll see you later.
You're all amazing. I will see you all next week. I hope you all have a great rest of your night and Halloween ahead of you.
Okay.
Will do, Nolan. Thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciate all your time that you spent on here today. Thank you. I can't say enough good things about him. By the way, if you want to follow Nolan Thunder, his link is in the chat right there. You can go ahead and do that. A lot of great stuff coming out of Nolan Thunder very soon. That is for sure. Thank you so much for coming online, buddy. We will see you later.
Hey, friends. Have a great night.
Thank you too.
Bye.
So
what else you got, Vash?
We got our last story of the day here. We got our last story of the day. Theme park story. This is from WWE Pro on That Park Place. Disney World single day with Lightning Lane premiere costs $2,000 for a family of 4. That's right, folks. $2,000 for Lightning Lane premiere for a family of 4 this October 30th, 2024. Hang on to your wallets, folks. Magic lovers of all ages. Walt Disney World has implemented the Lightning Lane premiere pass for the 4 theme parks, but the costs could cause you to faint. Not so long ago, going to Walt Disney World meant that part of your base experience, including the ability to skip the lines and major attractions, it was a novelty called Fast Pass. The system allowed guests to insert their tickets into a machine at the entrance of the ride. As a result, a piece of paper would print out with a time for the guest to return later in the day for an experience without any wait or minimum wait. That is, of course, the ticket was returned as well. Once the guests enjoy the attraction, they would be able to get another Fast Pass for another attraction, and thereon and so forth. There were variances of the times that went on, but one of the great value adds at Disney was the ability to use Fast Pass system to enjoy more attractions than most families would have otherwise. After the pandemic, however, all that changed. A nearly identical system called Lightning Lane Premier Pass is here, and this one is going to cost you. Launching on October 30th, we now have the prices for a less crowded kind of day. Let's just say it is going to set you back a little bit. So Lightning Lane Premier is a new tier of Lightning Lane. So previously you had Lightning Lane Multi-Day and Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Lightning Lane Single Pass. Single passes were for those very big, high demand experiences at these parks, and then Multi-Pass included a bundle of experiences, right? So now we have a new tier on top of that. That's Premier Pass. And now we have the prices associated with the parks that you can buy. So the deal is that the Premier Pass is a combination of both multi-pass, right, and single pass, in which you have all those attractions included, but now you don't have to actually make reservations for those specific experiences. Previously, you had to reserve them in advance. Now they're just available to you at will, but you can see it comes at a price. Magic Kingdom, $329 for the day if you want that. Epcot, $169 for the day. Disney's Hollywood Studios, $269. Disney's Animal Kingdom, $129. You can actually see that here, and also to confirm by Walt Disney World News Today with a screenshot of the app itself. This is a lot of money to spend on, like, let's say attractions at Magic Kingdom, for instance. Those attractions, by and large, we're talking, they're on the much older side of the spectrum there. A lot of them dating back to the 1970s. But now, if you want to go ahead and bypass the lines associated with those attractions at will, it's $329 per person per day. And that's after, by the way, at Walt Disney World, after you get a deluxe hotel. So you're not even just enrolling in the system, just flat. There are some hoops you have to go through. Wizard, what do you think about this? 1971 Magic Kingdom, $329 a day.
Oh boy. Well, it sucks because these people have to share the Lightning Lane. People with someone who pays $30, which it not only it crowds up the Lightning Lane, but it makes it like unfair. There's no real value to the Premier Pass, other than the fact that you don't have to schedule. I don't think that's worth $700 worth more, per ticket. I still think they should get rid of one or the other. So get rid of the multi-pass and single pass and have one like Universal Express, or do keep it, get rid of Premier Pass. But having all three too complicated and really lessens the value.
Yeah, I know I'm old, but someday when I tell people, back in my day, you bought a ticket to the park and you got to ride everything for that price, period. What if there were long lines? You got there early. You didn't go on Christmas like sensible people.
It's that meme of the old woman, and she's got the walker. Back in my day, you just had to buy your ticket to get in, and you were led onto all the attractions. And then you had the woman next to her going, "Okay, Grandma, let's just go ahead and get you back to the home."
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you're right though. There was a simplicity to the theme park experience, especially in the 1980s when they did away with the ticket systems, right? So you used to have A, B, C, D, or E tickets that you used to have to buy in advance in order to even experience the rides at all. They were per pay rides. That changed when they went to the kind of all out system in which you could just go on rides at will. But then the complexity,
which they were prompted to do, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
By Pacific Ocean Park, POP.
Yeah.
And POP decided, you know what? We'll change the name. Pay one price.
Right. Yeah. Pay one price.
And by the way, isn't that the whole theory behind why a Disney or any cruise vacation is easier to budget and figure out? Because you pay one price and all the entertainment and all of the pools and all of the meals are all part of the deal.
Right.
And they cost a lot of money, but at least walking in what it's going to cost you when you walk out.
Exactly. And a lot of people, Lou, favored the pay one price model at Pacific Ocean Park, or even the Six Flags model at that time, over the Disney model where there was a higher admission fee associated with your entrance.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. Our dear friend Nita Seybold, Vash, she meant Vash. It says Bash. What is your costume? The latest Agatha witch?
That's super funny. Yeah, it's the collar that really sets it differently a little bit there. No, I was going for a either a Dark Jedi or a Sith. But you know what? They're one and the same now, thanks to Star Wars and Marvel. That's great. It's fantastic. No, but I'll say this is interesting because, like you said, Pacific Ocean Park, the pay one price model. Six Flags had the same thing back in the 60s. You had to pay a little bit of an elevated price in order to get in and take advantage of those attractions, but at least you only had to pay once. Disney was like that for the 1980s up until the 1990s, until they started to implement FastPass, and FastPass kind of changed the dynamic there. But again, it was an included system. They actually touted it as free as part of your admission, right?
Yeah.
And then that gets complicated with FastPass Plus and all that, and it just, there's a whole big video about this by DefunctLand that goes into this in greater depth than we could ever explore here.
Or want to.
Exactly.
And that's the point. It's so damn complicated.
It is. It doesn't have to be this complicated.
Right,
but here's the thing, Lou. It's not only complicated because, back in the day, it was complicated, but at least it was included, right? And there were some hoops and so forth, and you can get maybe another reservation if you went for the deluxe versus the moderate resorts, all that. But at least it had a sense of an all-inclusive nature that you talk about with the Disney Cruise Lines. Now that's completely been upended. We're now charging for shows in some instances, as we covered here earlier on T3PO Live. We're now charging per attraction. Maybe at a bundled rate right here with $329, which is completely crazy. So it's not only just complicated, but it's also expensive. It's not like you're paying for, the more convenient method. There's still a level of complexity to it. Even in this instance, even if you do get it, that's a feat because there's going to be limited quantities of these available per day that you'll have to, get ahead of the.
Van Arsdale France. I know you guys know who he was, but he was the guy who invented the whole Disney University and trying to make things guest friendlier than they would be otherwise.
Uh-huh.
And he told the story about, I think it was about 2 years after the park opened. And he was going around the park with this expert that they hired. Walt had nothing but scorn for 99% of the people in the amusement park business. Mm-hmm. But he had hired this one guy to help him with operations because he really was experienced. Mm-hmm. And they were walking around, and you have to remember when it opened, they didn't know if it was going to survive, let alone thrive. But now, a couple of years in, people knew where it was, people knew what it was, and it was a summer day. And Van said he was going around with this guy, and he was going, "Look at all the long lines and the people, and this is great." And the guy said, "No, you're screwing up." He said, "What do you mean we're screwing up? We're doing all kinds of business." He says, "Yeah, but every minute those people are standing in those long lines, they're not buying a Coke. They're not buying us hot dog. They're not buying us plush Mickey. They're not standing in another line so they can tell their friends about all the other things that they missed.
Yeah.
You need more attractions." And of course, that was when they built some more, and which they plan on doing anyway.
And
well,
this is
the equivalent now, I suggest, is standing with your nose in your phone for an aggregate period during a day at Disneyland of what, an hour? 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. That's what you do in real life. That's what you do at your job. That's what you do even if the law says you're not supposed to while you're stuck in traffic on the freeway.
This is why efficiency is one of the keys.
Yeah, yeah. So
do you know what I'm saying?
Anyway,
and
why did it?
Lou is exactly right.
Why did it take $2,000 to get people's attention? Why wouldn't it get their attention at $500 or $1,000? And will it get some people's attention at $3,000 and $5,000 before they finally say enough is enough? If the only way to go and really experience all these great rides is to pay all this extra money, then put that on the admission price and call it a day. Otherwise, I'll go somewhere else. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's already happening.
I think it is. Wizard, what do you think about this? I mean, would you spend $329 per person per day on top of admission, on top of a deluxe resort in order to get access to Magic Kingdom attractions?
No way, because one of those deluxe resorts are expensive. I don't know. Even if I wanted to, I don't think I actually could afford it. So, like,
And
that's a lot of money because
by
that
the way,
2,000 is just for
by
tickets.
the way, theme park.
Yeah.
If you assume you could once a year, the average local in LA, Orange County, would otherwise go 3, 4, 5 times a year. When I had an annual pass, and I lived in West LA, it wasn't exactly next door. But hey, what are you doing Saturday? Let's go. I had friends and business people in Garden Grove and Huntington Beach, and I would go down and have lunch with them and see them, and I wouldn't turn around and head back to West LA. I would go to the park for a few hours, go have a nice dinner at Granville's, back when it was that, and then I'd get on the freeway. So, but if I'm paying that extra $2,000 every time, suddenly, can I do that more than once or twice as opposed to 5 or 6 times? So think of how that revenue, which is revenue for them, cannibalizes revenue from the restaurants, from annual passes, from all kinds of other things. So anyway,
and it's interesting. I heard actually from recently from a Disneyland cast member or something. So we kind of work the Lightning Lane or whatever. They're at least initially with since it's been out for about a week here in Disneyland, they noticed that they're not getting additional Lightning Lane people. They're just getting like conversions. So people who instead of getting multi-pass, they just buy the premier pass. So it's like I guess the same amount of people. They're not it's not new people. They're just moving up. And I don't know if that's what Disney want or not, but because like who's gonna pay that? Like, unless they're getting it all the time,
And like you said, Vash, when you've got to get a deluxe hotel to get this deal, quote unquote deal, and then you see how much the brand new Helios Grand is charging a night. I mean,
there's a value.
The point is, when things are complex and expensive, there is a reason beyond them needing to be. And that reason is usually we want them to be because we want the money and we want the complexity.
And we need the money.
Well,
They definitely need the money, that's for sure. By the way, there is one catch when you want to change your park. So let's say you bought into the wrong park, you want to go ahead and change it. Well, it works simple enough. Let's say you bought for Epcot on $169, you want to go ahead and go to Magic Kingdom $329. Okay, you pay the difference, no problem. But let's say you bought Magic Kingdom, you wanted to go back to Epcot right there. Disney keeps the difference in that instance. It's not a refund.
Oh boy!
And you can only do it if you
terrible.
I have to say, I'm not surprised.
That's almost $200.
I know. They need the money.
You can't expect these people to cover your mistake, can you? I mean,
yes. So just be really clear.
Because you were stupid enough to buy it, of course you're stupid enough to screw it up.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, folks, you better go ahead and before you press submit, make sure you look at the park three times before you go and start buying.
3 times. That's a good point of a rule right
Click
there.
your heels 3 times and say, "There's no place like home. Next time I'm staying there."
Yeah, exactly. I'll say this. So Disneyland, I think is a better system in that it doesn't have the deluxe. The deluxe condition right there.
Both parks.
Both parks, right? That's the big.
Although
thing.
there's
So
only
instead of doing
one
per park.
one bad thing there. You have to get a park hopper, or else the value quickly just goes away. Because if you can't choose as Disneyland, you have to get.
I know I probably say this once per show here, but at least they woke up after all these years from the total idiocy of when they opened DCA and had no park hopper tickets. Refused.
That's such a crazy idea. Such a crazy
that was the dumbest damn thing I ever saw.
They did wake up to that, and they also woke up to the fact that let's not parse out these theme parks in the same way that maybe Walt Disney World is doing. I think that's done for people looking to reduce their vacations, right? Instead of staying there 5 days, you can
tell you what,
2 days.
I tell you what's really gonna hurt them. You talk about Epic Universe hurting Disney World. Do you know what's gonna really, really, because of geography, hurt Disneyland? When Universal opens that roller coaster on the hill.
Oh man.
Because suddenly that whole idea, because you got to remember, folks, this is not a tram ride between these two parks, these two brands. This is not a bus ride. This is not a where do you want to go today? This is a trek. This is the ultimate reality of what was once a joke at the end of the Jungle Cruise, where they said, and now we approach the most dangerous part of our journey, civilization and the LA freeways. So,
That's great stuff. Wizard, why don't you go ahead and close us off here?
Oh, yeah. What I was going to say, well, two things. One, the only bad thing about the Lightning Premier Pass, because it's a park hopper, or 400 covers both parks, like if you just want to go to Disneyland, it's useless because there's not like a Disneyland only version. It's $400 for half the rides you can't even go to, which is kind of terrible. But at Hollywood, at Universal, next month they're going to start on their hotel. So even more of an incentive for people to stay over in Hollywood instead of going to Anaheim.
And that's an interesting point. With the new hotel that will be coming to Universal Studios Hollywood, actually too, that will change the center of gravity as well, and people might start making their home base LA rather than Anaheim in order to take advantage of all the great things coming to Hollywood. By the way, if you want to learn more about those things coming to Hollywood, you only have to go to one place, and that's Theme Park Wizard's YouTube channel. Wizard, where can people find you?
You can find me right there on Theme Park Wizard.
The real irony just occurred to me. The irony is that you're going to stay at the new hotels at Universal and make that your base, and you're going to pay whatever they charge for a room for the night, but you're going to get up at 3 a.m. to get on the freeway and get to Disney for your one day down there. So you're not even going to sleep in that bed that you paid for at Universal as much as you would have, because you got to, Mommy, why are you waking me up? We just went to bed. Well, dear, we have to get on the freeway and go to Disneyland. Don't you want to see Mickey? I bet Mickey's in bed. Why aren't I? So.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point right there.
Anyway.
Wizard, please, because I know you got the YouTube channel and you got the Twitter account, but the Twitter account's named a little bit differently, right?
Oh, yes, it is. It's Park Wizard 1. And then Theme Park Wizard for Instagram and all that other TikTok and all that other good stuff.
Gotcha.
But YouTube, my home base. On Patreon, there's a link there. You can click it up when you're on my YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And Wizard's got all the good stuff on his Patreon right there. It goes over a bunch of permanent filings and a lot of advanced news that, maybe doesn't make it at all to the YouTube channel. If you want to stay abreast of all of those things, make sure you visit Theme Park Wizard's YouTube. It's going to be in the link in the chat right there. You can go ahead and subscribe via that link, and hopefully you are better informed because of it. Because I know Wizard doesn't lack on information. This guy's got a lot of it to share. So please go ahead and support him. And Lou, what do you got going on over there? I know we have the genre guys that just hit Buckaroo Banzai on this channel.
Yeah.
But you produced those 90 days in advance on WWE Rose channel.
We just did Falling Down, as somebody mentioned.
So good.
And the one we're doing this week for Halloween, although it'll come out after Halloween, obviously, because we shoot them on Saturday nights and they go up a couple days later on the Pro channel, is Sleepy Hollow, an unsung Halloween movie per se, and an unsung Tim Burton movie per se, and a Johnny Depp movie. So all of that going for it. That was Lauren's suggestion. I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But that's coming up. And then the one after that. Oh, in honor of Election Day, we're doing the wonderful little movie Election, which was basically Reese Witherspoon's first big splash and Matthew Broderick. And it's about a high school student body president election. So that way we stay clear of partisanship. But they do everything dirty that the real kids do. So anyway, and then after that, who knows? We've got a bunch of them on the schedule. So
fantastic.
That's the next couple I know of. And then, of course, on Sundays, there's some guy in a black cape chasing me. Well, you tell him.
Yeah, we have Hollywood Backlot with you and you. Sorry about that. Do apologize. Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you. Previously, this last Sunday, it was actually hosted by Marvin because I was a little bit out of.
So we got a monster to do the hosting of the Bates Motel house there and our Halloween stuff. So what are we going to do this Sunday? Do you know? Do you care? Do we make it up as we go along like we usually do?
I'm researching it. Okay. I haven't picked a theme just yet.
See, because folks, it's spontaneous, it's live. I know I have little or no warning what the theme is going to be, and we don't stick to a theme per se. We just start off with one and let it take us across the map, across LA, and
across the back lot there.
Yeah.
So we'll have a great show for you. That's at Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, right there. Please send us your questions, by the way, as well. We don't pitch this enough right there. T3P online at yahoo.com if you want to go ahead and get your questions answered by Lou himself.
Anything you'd like to know about the biz that you don't really know, but you've heard or you've thought or you've imagined, or some idiot journalist, quote unquote, has imagined on your behalf erroneously, send us a question. We'll tell you how it really is. The only questions I will not answer are highly personal ones about particular productions I've been involved with, although I let a lot of that slip unconsciously anyway. But that just, as they say, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. And there are damn few innocent in the biz, that's for sure.
Yes, as we go over in detail there. So please let us know your questions there. Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you every single Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. By the way, new slot for T3PO Live, the one you're watching right now. It's going to be on Thursdays live at 5. So please head back to us for more. Hit the subscribe button if you have to hit the subscribe button just yet. You'll be notified of all the times we go live. Hit the like button if you did like this video. And thank you so much for watching T3PO Live. You are going to be redirected to Marvin, the movie monster, over there at Toontown TV, which I think I will be joining him for, maybe, possibly. I've been meaning to. I've got a little time, not a lot of energy, but let's go ahead and go over to Toontown TV right now, which his show is likely in progress. So we'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. Thanks, guys.